You have spent years trying to heal your physical pain with medications, therapies and treatments, but it always comes back. What doctors have not told you is that the deep physical pain you feel in your body is directly connected to the emotional and mental pain you have been carrying for years. Buddhist monks discovered thousands of years ago that when you change certain simple daily habits in your routine, something magical happens. Your body begins to release old tensions that were stored in your muscles, in your joints, in your back. The pain that seemed impossible to heal begins to decrease naturally, not because you forced it or fought against it, but because you finally understood the secret language that your body has been trying to speak to you all this time. Prepare to sleep while listening to this video, because these Buddhist practices will begin to work on your body and mind even during sleep, bringing deep and lasting relief. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your like and comment from which part of the world you are watching. Get comfortable and relax. Let us begin. Have you ever noticed how your pain seems to worsen when you focus on it with fear and frustration? This phenomenon isn't just in your imagination. It's a well-documented aspect of how our brains process pain. For over 2,500 years, Buddhist practitioners have been utilizing mindfulness meditation as a powerful tool for managing physical discomfort. And modern science is finally catching up to what these ancient practitioners discovered through direct experience. Mindfulness meditation for pain management works on a fundamental principle: creating space between the physical sensation of pain and our mental reaction to it. When pain strikes, our natural tendency is to tense up against it, resist it, and become consumed by thoughts about how terrible it is or how long it will last. This mental resistance actually amplifies our suffering. Through daily mindfulness practice, we learn to observe pain sensations with an attitude of open curiosity rather than aversion. The neurological effects of this practice are remarkable. Brain imaging studies have shown that experienced meditators activate different neural pathways when experiencing pain, rather than heavily engaging the emotional centers that amplify suffering. They show increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the region associated with attention control and emotional regulation. Even more fascinating, regular practitioners demonstrate reduced activity in the areas that process the unpleasantness of pain, while still registering the sensory information. In other words, they feel the pain but suffer less from it. When someone begins practicing mindfulness for pain management, they typically start with short sessions of 15 to 20 minutes per day. During these sessions, they bring gentle attention to bodily sensations, including any areas of discomfort or pain, rather than trying to change or eliminate these sensations. They practice observing them with equanimity, noting their qualities such as intensity, location, temperature, or pulsation. They notice how sensations constantly shift and change, sometimes intensifying, sometimes diminishing, but never remaining exactly the same from moment to moment. One of the most transformative aspects of this practice is how it addresses catastrophic thinking about pain. Many chronic pain sufferers develop thought patterns like "this pain will never end" or "I can't bear this anymore" that dramatically increase their suffering. Mindfulness training helps individuals recognize these thoughts as just thoughts, not facts, and develop the ability to let them go rather than getting caught in spiraling worry. Research shows that this reduction in pain catastrophizing can account for significant improvements in quality of life, even when the physical sensations themselves haven't dramatically changed. The consistency of daily practice is crucial for developing this skill. Just as we wouldn't expect to get physically fit by exercising only when we feel like it, we cannot develop mental fitness without regular training. Many practitioners find it helpful to establish a morning meditation routine before the day's activities begin, creating a foundation of mindful awareness that they can draw upon when pain intensifies later in the day. Others prefer to practice in the evening as a way to process and release the accumulated tension from the day. As practitioners become more experienced, they learn to apply mindfulness in the midst of daily activities, not just during formal sitting practice. They might bring mindful awareness to the sensations of walking, standing in line at the grocery store, or washing dishes. This integration of mindfulness into everyday life is what makes it such a practical tool for chronic pain management. It becomes an always available resource rather than something confined to special circumstances. Many people report that, after several months of consistent practice, they experience a profound shift in their relationship with pain. Rather than identifying with it completely, "I am my pain," they begin to see it as just one aspect of their experience in any given moment. This psychological distance doesn't eliminate the sensation, but it dramatically reduces the suffering associated with it. As one long-term practitioner described it, "The pain is still there, but it's as if it's happening in another room. I'm aware of it, but it no longer consumes me." Medical research supports these subjective reports. Studies show that mindfulness meditation can reduce pain intensity ratings by 30 to 40%, comparable to some medication-based approaches but without side effects. Even more significantly, the emotional distress associated with pain often decreases by 50% or more. These benefits tend to increase over time as the practice deepens, suggesting that mindfulness creates lasting changes in how the brain processes pain signals. For those living with conditions like fibromyalgia, arthritis, or back pain, the implications are profound. While mindfulness may not eliminate the need for conventional medical treatment, it offers a complementary approach that addresses the crucial mental and emotional dimensions of pain that medications cannot reach. Many pain clinics and hospitals now incorporate mindfulness training into their treatment protocols, recognizing its evidence-based benefits. The practice also offers something that many pain sufferers desperately need: a sense of agency. When pain dominates life, people often feel helpless and at the mercy of their conditions. Mindfulness restores a sense of choice and control, not over the pain itself, but over how we relate to it. This shift from passive victim to active participant in one's health journey can be deeply empowering. Despite its Buddhist origins, mindfulness meditation for pain management requires no religious belief or spiritual framework. It's essentially a mental training technique that can be practiced by anyone regardless of their background or beliefs. The instructions are simple, though the practice itself is subtle and deepens over time. Many practitioners find that working with a qualified teacher, at least initially, helps them establish correct technique and navigate common challenges. The beauty of mindfulness for pain management lies in its simplicity and accessibility. It requires no special equipment, can be practiced in any position that's comfortable, and can be adapted for different ability levels. Even those with severe limitations can practice mindful attention to breath and sensations. This universality makes it one of the most democratic healing approaches available, truly available to anyone willing to practice consistently. Conscious breathing techniques for immediate relief. Take a moment right now to notice your breath. Is it shallow or deep? Fast or slow? Simply bringing awareness to your breathing pattern can be the first step toward pain relief, a fact that Buddhist practitioners have recognized for millennia. Conscious breathing techniques offer one of the most immediate and accessible tools for managing physical pain, with effects that can be felt within minutes of implementation. The Buddhist practice of anapanasati, which means mindfulness of breathing, forms the foundation of many pain-relieving breath techniques. This practice involves carefully observing the natural flow of breath without trying to control it initially, then gradually introducing specific patterns that activate the body's innate healing mechanisms. Unlike many pain management strategies that require special circumstances or equipment, your breath is always with you, making this approach extraordinarily practical for daily life. From a physiological perspective, conscious breathing works by directly influencing your autonomic nervous system, the system controlling involuntary bodily functions like heart rate, digestion, and stress response. When pain strikes, the The sympathetic branch of this system, responsible for fight or flight reactions, often activates, causing muscle tension that amplifies discomfort. Deep, slow breathing triggers the parasympathetic branch, the rest and digest system, promoting muscle relaxation and releasing natural pain-relieving compounds including endorphins and endocannabinoids. One of the most effective breathing techniques for immediate pain relief is the extended exhale breath. While equal-length inhalations and exhalations help create balance, extending your exhale to approximately twice the length of your inhale sends powerful relaxation signals throughout your nervous system. For example, you might inhale for a count of 4 and exhale for a count of 8. This simple adjustment can reduce pain intensity within 2 to 3 minutes of practice, making it invaluable during pain flares. Another powerful approach is diaphragmatic or belly breathing. Most people habitually breathe using primarily their chest muscles. Taking shallow breaths that don't fully engage the diaphragm, the dome-shaped muscle beneath the lungs designed for efficient breathing. To practice diaphragmatic breathing, place one hand on your abdomen and intentionally direct your breath so your belly expands on inhalation and contracts on exhalation. This deeper breathing style increases oxygen saturation in the blood and promotes the release of tension in the abdomen and lower back, areas where many people hold stress that contributes to pain. Buddhist traditions also teach breath visualization techniques that enhance the pain-relieving effects. One simple practice involves imagining that you're breathing directly into the painful area during inhalation, then visualizing the pain dissolving and releasing with your exhalation. This technique combines the physiological benefits of deep breathing with the power of focused attention, effectively interrupting pain signals by redirecting neural resources. For those experiencing intense or acute pain, the ocean breath, ujjayi in Sanskrit, can provide remarkable relief. This technique involves slightly constricting the back of the throat while breathing to create a gentle ocean wave sound, almost like a whispered "ha" with the mouth closed. This subtle resistance creates a mild back pressure that extends the breath naturally and produces a gentle warming sensation in the body. Practitioners report that 3 to 5 minutes of ocean breathing can reduce pain intensity by 20 to 30%. Particularly for muscle-related discomfort. Clinical research supports these traditional practices. Studies conducted at major medical centers have found that systematic breathing techniques can significantly reduce the need for pain medication following surgery, with some patients reporting up to 40% less medication requirement when using conscious breathing as a complementary approach. For chronic pain conditions, regular practice appears to create cumulative benefits, with improvements in pain levels becoming more substantial over weeks and months of consistent practice. What makes breathing techniques particularly valuable is their scalability for different situations. When privacy and time allow, you might practice a formal 20-minute session of deep breathing meditation. But even in public situations where obvious meditation would be impractical, like during a work meeting or while shopping, you can still take 3 conscious breaths with extended exhales to manage pain spikes without anyone noticing. The Buddhist approach to breath work emphasizes different techniques for different types of pain. For sharp, acute pain, very slow breathing with extended pauses after exhaling can help the body enter a state of deep relaxation quickly. For dull, persistent aches, rhythmic breathing synchronized with gentle movement might be more effective. For inflammatory pain conditions, cooling breath techniques like inhaling through the mouth as if sipping through a straw, then exhaling through the nose, can create a subtle temperature-lowering effect that many find soothing. One particularly interesting aspect of conscious breathing for pain management is how it interrupts the pain-tension-pain cycle. When we experience pain, we naturally tense around it, trying to protect the affected area. However, this tension often restricts blood flow and creates secondary pain problems. Conscious breathing breaks this cycle by promoting systemic relaxation, allowing improved circulation to painful areas and facilitating the removal of inflammatory compounds that contribute to discomfort. For those new to these techniques, Starting with just 5 minutes of practice 3 times daily can produce noticeable benefits within a week. Many practitioners find it helpful to schedule these sessions at consistent times, perhaps upon waking, during a lunch break, and before bed, to establish a sustainable routine. As the benefits become apparent, most people naturally increase their practice time, finding that the relief justifies the investment of time and attention. One common misconception about breathing techniques is that they must produce immediate and complete pain relief to be considered successful. Buddhist practitioners take a more realistic approach, recognizing that even a 15 to 20% reduction in pain intensity can significantly improve quality of life and functional ability. They view breathwork as one component of a comprehensive pain management strategy rather than a standalone cure, a perspective that aligns with modern integrated medicine. The accessibility of breathing techniques makes them particularly valuable for those with limited resources or restricted access to healthcare. While many pain management approaches require expensive medications, specialized equipment, or regular visits to practitioners, conscious breathing requires only knowledge and practice. This democratization of pain relief tools embodies the Buddhist principle of making healing accessible to all beings, regardless of their circumstances. For daily implementation, many experienced practitioners recommend creating environmental cues that remind you to engage in conscious breathing. This might mean setting gentle alarms on your phone, placing stickers in locations you frequently see, or establishing associations with regular activities like stopping at traffic lights or waiting in lines. These reminders help integrate breathing practices into your day, ensuring you don't wait until pain becomes severe before implementing these techniques. Perhaps the most profound aspect of conscious breathing for pain management is how it shifts our relationship with discomfort. Rather than seeing pain as an enemy to be fought or escaped, we learn to approach it with curiosity and skillful attention. This philosophical shift doesn't make pain pleasant, but it transforms it from a dreaded experience into a manageable aspect of human existence, a perspective that brings not just physical relief, but also emotional peace amid life's inevitable challenges. The relationship we develop with our pain also affects how intensely we experience it. While the breathing techniques we just explored work primarily through physiological pathways, another powerful Buddhist approach works through our emotional relationship with our suffering body. This practice of compassion or karuna directed toward areas of pain can transform how we experience physical discomfort on a fundamental level. Most of us have been conditioned to respond to pain with frustration, fear, or even anger. We might catch ourselves thinking thoughts like, "Why won't this stupid back just work properly?" Or, "I hate this pain." This adversarial relationship with our own body parts might seem natural, but it actually creates additional tension and stress that amplify the original pain. Buddhist practitioners discovered centuries ago that cultivating genuine compassion toward areas that hurt can interrupt this negative cycle. Karuna practice begins with acknowledging the reality that your body isn't causing pain to punish or frustrate you. Rather, pain is simply your body's communication system, an important signal that something needs attention. When we respond to these signals with hostility, we're essentially shooting the messenger, creating a secondary layer of suffering on top of the physical sensation. Compassion practice reverses this pattern by responding to pain signals with kindness and care. To practice karuna for physical pain, you might begin by placing a hand gently on or near the painful area if possible. This physical touch itself can be soothing, activating receptors in the skin that can help modulate pain signals. Then, bring to mind the understanding that this part of your body is suffering. It's not causing suffering intentionally, but is itself experiencing distress. Just as you would naturally feel compassion for a friend in pain, direct that same quality of care toward your own body. You might mentally or quietly say phrases such as, "May this pain be eased," "I care about this suffering," or simply, "This hurts, and I'm here with you." The exact words matter less than the genuine feeling behind them, a sincere wish for relief and well-being rather than rejection or hatred of the sensation. This practice might feel awkward or even silly at first, especially if you've spent years battling against your pain. But with consistent practice, most people report a noticeable shift in how they relate to physical discomfort. From a neurological perspective, compassion practice activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's rest and digest mode, which naturally counteracts the stress response that often accompanies and intensifies pain. Research conducted at major universities has shown that self-compassion practices trigger the release of oxytocin, sometimes called the love hormone, which has natural pain-relieving properties. Additionally, cultivating compassion reduces the production of stress hormones like cortisol that can increase inflammation and sensitivity to pain. What makes this practice particularly powerful for chronic pain conditions is how it addresses the emotional components of long-term suffering. Many people with persistent pain develop complex emotional responses, including grief over lost abilities, anxiety about the future, or shame about limitations. These emotions become entangled with the physical sensations, creating a complex pain experience that medication alone rarely addresses adequately. Compassion practice acknowledges and soothes these emotional dimensions, addressing suffering at its various levels. One particularly effective way to implement karuna practice is through a daily compassionate body scan where you systematically direct caring attention to different areas of your body, spending extra time with places that experience pain or limitation. This might take 15 to 20 minutes, though even 5 minutes can be beneficial when time is limited. Many practitioners find this especially helpful before sleep, as it relaxes the body and creates conditions for more restful sleep, itself an important factor in pain management. For those with widespread pain conditions like fibromyalgia, directing compassion toward the entire body can feel overwhelming initially. In such cases, beginning with a single joint or a small area allows the practice to feel more manageable. As comfort with the technique grows, the compassionate attention can gradually expand to encompass larger areas. The key is patient persistence, recognizing that you're developing a new relationship with your body that may take time to establish. Buddhist teachers often emphasize that compassion practice is not about forcing positive feelings or denying the reality of pain. Rather, it's about relating to what's already happening with less resistance and more kindness. The pain may continue, particularly in chronic conditions, but our suffering diminishes when we stop adding layers of hostility, frustration, and rejection to the basic sensations. People sometimes wonder if being compassionate toward pain might somehow reinforce it or prevent them from taking necessary actions for healing. The opposite is typically true. Compassion creates the emotional conditions that support wise action. When we're not caught in resentment or fear of our pain, we can more clearly discern what helps and what harms. Many practitioners report making better treatment decisions and being more consistent with beneficial health routines when practicing from a foundation of self-compassion. The effects of regular karuna practice tend to build over time. Those who practice daily for several weeks typically notice subtle shifts in their relationship with pain first, less emotional reactivity, reduced catastrophizing, and more moments of ease even when pain is present. Physical changes often follow as the constant tension of fighting against pain begins to release. Some practitioners report reductions in pain intensity of 20 to 30% after several months of consistent practice, with even greater improvements in their subjective suffering and quality of life. An interesting aspect of compassion practice is how it can transform our broader relationship with all forms of discomfort, not just physical pain. Many long-term practitioners find they become more resilient in facing emotional challenges, better able to navigate difficult relationships, and less overwhelmed by life's inevitable stresses. This expanded capacity for being with discomfort without being overwhelmed by it represents one of the most valuable long-term benefits of the practice. Cultivating compassion for your suffering body parts also counteracts the isolation that chronic pain often creates. Pain can make us feel separated from others, trapped in an experience that no one else can truly understand. The warmth of self-compassion helps bridge this sense of disconnection, reminding us that suffering is a universal human experience. Though our specific conditions may differ, the experience of physical discomfort and our need for kindness unite us with all beings who have bodies. As you move through your days, try approaching moments of pain with this compassionate awareness. Notice what happens when you meet discomfort with "I care about this suffering" rather than "I hate this pain." The shift might be subtle initially, but with practice, it can profoundly transform your experience of living in a body that experiences pain. Another practical approach that complements both conscious breathing and compassion practice is the Buddhist body scanning technique. This systematic method of bringing awareness to different parts of the body serves as a powerful tool for self-regulation and pain management. Unlike many meditation practices that direct attention away from the body, the Buddhist body scan intentionally moves awareness throughout the physical form, creating opportunities for release and healing. The body scanning practice has ancient roots in Buddhist traditions, particularly in the Satipatthana Sutta, often translated as the Discourse on the Foundations of Mindfulness. In this text, the Buddha detailed instructions for systematically observing bodily sensations as a pathway to deeper awareness and freedom from suffering. Modern pain management approaches have adapted these ancient instructions into practical techniques that require no religious belief while retaining their transformative power. The basic practice involves systematically moving your attention from one part of the body to another, observing sensations with curious, non-judgmental awareness. Typically, practitioners start either at the top of the head or the feet, then methodically progress through the entire body. Unlike conventional relaxation techniques that aim to change sensations immediately, the Buddhist approach emphasizes first clearly seeing what's actually happening in the body without attempting to fix or alter anything. This neutral observation serves several crucial functions in pain management. First, it helps identify areas of secondary tension, places where the body has unconsciously tightened in response to primary pain sites. For example, someone with knee pain might discover they're habitually clenching their jaw or tightening their shoulders as a protective response. These secondary tension patterns often create additional pain problems that can persist even if the original injury heals. By bringing these patterns into awareness, the body scan creates opportunities to consciously release unnecessary tension. The practice also reveals how sensation fluctuates from moment to moment, a key insight for working skillfully with pain. When we're caught in pain without mindful awareness, we tend to perceive it as a solid, unchanging experience. The body scan reveals the more complex reality. Even intense pain has moments of lessening, shifting, or changing quality. Recognizing this impermanent nature of sensation can significantly reduce the mental suffering that comes from believing pain is solid and permanent. To practice the Buddhist body scan, find a comfortable position where you can remain relatively still for 10 to 20 minutes. This might be lying down, sitting, or even a gentle reclined position if conventional postures are painful. Begin by taking a few conscious breaths to settle your attention. Then decide whether you'll start at the head and move downward, or begin with the feet and move upward. Either direction works effectively. Choose what feels most natural to you. Then, systematically move your attention through major body areas, spending approximately 20 to 30 seconds with each region before moving to the next adjacent area. For example, if starting at the head, you might progress scalp, forehead, eyes, cheeks, jaw, throat, shoulders, upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, hands, fingers, upper back, mid-back, lower back, chest, abdomen, hips, buttocks, thighs, knees, calves, ankles, feet, and toes at each body region. Simply notice whatever sensations are present without trying to change them. These might include temperature, warmth, coolness, texture, softness, hardness, movement, pulsing, throbbing, vibrating, or emotional qualities, tension, ease. When you encounter painful areas, practice maintaining the same curious, accepting awareness rather than contracting around or trying to avoid the discomfort. One of the most powerful aspects of the body scan for pain management is how it disrupts the habitual tensing against pain that creates cycles of increasing discomfort. When we encounter pain without mindfulness, the natural reaction is to tighten around it, almost as if we're trying to create a protective barrier between ourselves and the unpleasant sensation. Unfortunately, this tightening restricts blood flow, compresses tissues, and ultimately amplifies the original discomfort. The body scan teaches us to maintain relaxed awareness even in the presence of pain. Buddhist practitioners traditionally perform this scan multiple times daily upon waking, before sleep, and whenever they notice increasing discomfort. Monastery routines often incorporate formal scanning practice after periods of seated meditation to release tension that accumulates during stillness. This frequency builds the neural pathways that support body awareness, making it increasingly natural to notice and release tension throughout daily activities. For chronic pain management, the body scan offers several specific benefits beyond general relaxation. It improves proprioception, your sense of where your body is in space, which often becomes distorted around painful areas. Enhanced body awareness helps you make subtle adjustments to posture and movement that can prevent pain exacerbation. The practice also improves interoception, awareness of internal bodily states, which helps you recognize early warning signs of pain escalation before they become severe. Many practitioners are surprised to discover how the body scan reveals connections between seemingly unrelated body regions. For example, someone with persistent low back pain might notice during scanning that they habitually tilt their head in a certain way, creating a chain reaction of compensations down the spine that ultimately stresses the lower back. These insight moments are valuable opportunities to make conscious adjustments that can significantly reduce pain over time. The body scan also serves as a form of preventive medicine within Buddhist practice. By regularly checking in with the body, practitioners can identify areas of increasing tension or discomfort before they develop into more serious problems. This early detection allows for timely intervention, whether through movement, rest, or other therapeutic approaches, often preventing pain flares that might otherwise require more intensive treatment. Another valuable aspect of the practice is how it counteracts the disconnection from the body that often accompanies chronic pain. Many people with persistent pain develop patterns of dissociation, mentally disconnecting from physical experience as a coping mechanism. While this provides temporary relief, over time it reduces body awareness and can lead to further injury and pain as warning signals go unnoticed. The body scan gently rebuilds a healthy relationship with physical sensations, teaching us to stay present with our experience without being overwhelmed by it. With regular practice over weeks and months, most practitioners report developing a more integrated sense of their body as a whole, rather than focusing exclusively on painful areas. This broader awareness creates a context for pain, rather than pain becoming the entirety of physical experience. It becomes one sensation among many. Practitioners describe this as pain taking up less space in their awareness, even when its objective intensity hasn't significantly changed. For maximum benefit, many Buddhist teachers recommend practicing the body scan in different positions and contexts. Scanning while lying down often reveals different tension patterns than scanning while sitting or standing. Similarly, scanning during relative comfort provides different information than scanning during pain flares. This varied practice develops versatile body awareness that remains accessible in different circumstances. The body scan requires no special equipment or environmental conditions, making it an exceptionally practical tool for daily life. You can perform abbreviated versions while waiting in line, sitting at your desk, or even in bed before rising in the morning. This accessibility means you always have a tool available for checking in with your body and releasing unnecessary tension, regardless of where you are or what resources you have available. As with all Buddhist practices for pain management, Consistency matters more than duration. A 5-minute body scan practiced daily will generally yield better results than an hour-long practice done occasionally. Many practitioners find success by anchoring the practice to existing daily routines, perhaps scanning briefly before morning meditation, after lunch, and before sleep, creating a rhythm of body awareness throughout their day. The regular practice of body scanning naturally increases our awareness of how sensations continuously change, which brings us to another profound Buddhist approach to pain management, the contemplation of impermanence, or anicca in Pali. This fundamental Buddhist teaching might initially seem like an abstract philosophical concept, but when applied directly to physical pain, it becomes a remarkably practical tool for reducing suffering. Impermanence refers to the observable fact that everything in our experience, including pain sensations, is constantly changing. Nothing remains fixed or static, even though our minds often perceive painful conditions as solid and unchanging. This misperception leads to an unnecessarily fixed relationship with pain, where we think, "This terrible pain is here and will always be exactly like this." Such thoughts naturally produce anxiety, depression, and a sense of helplessness that amplify suffering beyond the physical sensation itself. The contemplation of impermanence as a pain management technique involves deliberately paying close attention to the changing nature of physical sensations. When pain arises, rather than labeling it with a solid concept like "my terrible back pain again," you practice observing it with precise moment-to-moment awareness. With this careful attention, what seemed like a solid block of pain reveals itself as a constantly shifting flow of sensations, sometimes intense, sometimes less so, sometimes sharp, sometimes dull, sometimes hot, sometimes tingling. This practice doesn't deny the reality of pain or suggest it's all in your head. Rather, it trains you to perceive pain more accurately as it actually exists, as a dynamic process rather than a fixed entity. Surprisingly, this more accurate perception often leads directly to reduced suffering. When we stop adding the mental projection of permanence to our pain, we stop experiencing the fear and hopelessness that come with believing this will never change. To practice anicca contemplation for pain management, set aside 15 to 20 minutes in a comfortable position where you can remain relatively still. Bring your attention to the area where you experience pain and begin to observe the sensations with curious, detailed awareness. Notice the precise boundaries of the sensation, exactly where it begins and ends in your body. Is it perfectly symmetrical? Or does it have an irregular shape? Does it have clear edges? Or does it fade gradually into surrounding areas? Then, bring awareness to the internal characteristics of the painful area. What specific sensations make up what you've been labeling as pain? You might notice heat, pressure, throbbing, stabbing, tightening, or various other qualities. The key insight practice is recognizing that these sensations are not static, they pulse, flow, intensify, diminish, and change in quality from moment to moment. As you maintain this careful observation, you'll typically notice brief gaps or moments of lessening in even intense pain. These might be very subtle at first, perhaps just microseconds where the intensity diminishes slightly before returning. With practice, you become more adept at noticing these natural fluctuations. This observation directly contradicts the mind's story that the pain is constant and unchanging, beginning to loosen its psychological grip. Buddhist practitioners in pain management programs often keep journals documenting their observations about impermanence in their pain experience. These records help challenge the mind's tendency to remember pain as worse and more constant than it actually was. One common journaling practice is to note, several times throughout a pain observation session, the specific sensations present in that moment and any changes observed. Over time, these records reveal patterns of fluctuation that might otherwise go unnoticed. The contemplation of impermanence works on several levels simultaneously. Psychologically, it reduces catastrophic thinking about pain by providing evidence that contradicts beliefs about permanence. Neurologically, it helps retrain pain processing networks in the brain, creating more flexible responses to pain signals. Physically, the reduction in anxiety and fear this practice produces leads to decreased muscle tension and stress hormones that would otherwise amplify pain sensations. Many practitioners find that combining impermanence contemplation with gentle movement enhances its effectiveness. Slowly moving the painful area through its comfortable range of motion while observing changing sensations provides clear evidence of impermanence that might be less obvious during stillness. Even the simple act of breathing creates subtle movement and change in most pain sensations, providing a natural anchor for observing impermanence. For those with severe or widespread pain, beginning this practice with less intense areas can build the skills needed to work with more challenging regions. You might start by observing changing sensations in a mildly uncomfortable area, gradually building confidence in your capacity to maintain awareness even with stronger sensations. This graduated approach prevents overwhelm while developing the concentration needed for effective practice. Buddhist teachers often emphasize that contemplating impermanence doesn't mean expecting your chronic condition to completely vanish. Rather, it's about recognizing that within chronic conditions, there is constant change, moments of relative ease alongside moments of intensity. This realistic perspective prevents the disappointment that can come from false hopes, while still opening possibilities for working skillfully with changing experience. One particularly valuable application of impermanence contemplation is during pain flares, when symptoms temporarily intensify. These episodes often trigger fear that the pain is getting worse and will stay this way forever. Remembering impermanence during flares, perhaps using a simple phrase like "this too is changing," can prevent the catastrophic thinking that turns temporary increases in pain into prolonged suffering. Many practitioners report that this mental shift helps them move through flares with less emotional distress, which often results in the episode resolving more quickly. The concept of impermanence also applies to positive experiences of relief or comfort. When we experience moments of diminished pain, the untrained mind often tenses with thoughts like "this won't last" or "the pain will be back soon," preventing full enjoyment of the respite. Contemplating impermanence helps us appreciate these valuable moments of relative ease precisely because they are transient, allowing for a fuller experience of whatever comfort is available in the present moment. Long-term practitioners often report that regular contemplation of impermanence gradually transforms their entire relationship with pain. Rather than seeing pain as a solid enemy to be fought or escaped, they come to recognize it as a flowing, changing process, still challenging, but less overwhelming. This shift doesn't happen overnight, but builds gradually through consistent practice, creating a more workable relationship with difficult physical sensations. This understanding of impermanence naturally leads to developing another essential quality for working with pain: equanimity. While mindfulness helps us clearly see our experience and compassion brings kindness to our suffering, equanimity provides the balanced, steady presence that allows us to remain with difficult sensations without being overwhelmed by them. This quality is especially crucial for those managing chronic pain conditions where some degree of discomfort may be unavoidable. Equanimity in Buddhist practice doesn't mean indifference or resignation. It's not about not caring or giving up on finding relief. Rather, it describes a balanced state of mind that can be with the full range of experiences, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral, without being thrown off center. With equanimity, we maintain mental stability regardless of what sensations are arising in the body, neither grasping at pleasant feelings nor pushing away unpleasant ones. For pain management, equanimity represents a middle path between two common but unhelpful extremes. desperately fighting against pain or completely surrendering to it. Instead, equanimity allows us to acknowledge the reality of pain while maintaining inner balance. This balanced presence prevents the additional suffering that comes from either constantly struggling against what's happening or becoming helplessly identified with it. The development of equanimity begins with recognizing how our habitual reactions to physical sensations create additional suffering beyond the sensations themselves. When pain arises, we typically respond with aversion, tensing against it, mentally arguing with it, or trying to escape it. These reactions are so automatic that we rarely question them, yet they often amplify discomfort by creating physical tension and emotional distress. To cultivate equanimity with physical pain, begin by observing your automatic reactions when discomfort arises. Without judging these reactions, simply notice: does your body tense? Do certain thoughts immediately appear? Do you feel emotional responses like anger, fear, or despair? This awareness of your reaction patterns is the first step toward greater choice in how you respond to pain. Next, practice intentionally creating small spaces between the sensation of pain and your reaction to it. When you notice pain, pause briefly before responding. In that pause, remind yourself that it's possible to feel a sensation without immediately fighting it or being overwhelmed by it. This doesn't mean you have to like the sensation. Equanimity isn't about preference, but about maintaining balance regardless of what's happening. Many practitioners find it helpful to work with mild or moderate discomfort when first developing equanimity. For example, you might practice with the natural discomfort that arises when sitting still for extended periods. Notice the urge to shift position immediately when discomfort appears, and experiment with staying present with the sensation for a few moments before deciding whether to move. This builds the equanimity muscle that can later be applied to more intense pain. Neuroscience research supports the value of this practice, showing that experienced meditators develop enhanced activity in brain regions associated with emotional regulation when exposed to painful stimuli. These brain changes allow for experiencing pain sensations without the cascade of emotional reactivity that typically amplifies suffering. Brain imaging studies show that these practitioners still register the sensory component of pain but process its affective dimension differently. Regular equanimity practice creates a kind of psychological buffer zone around pain sensations. Without this buffer, we tend to immediately identify with pain when it arises, thinking "I am in pain" as if the sensation defines our entire being. Equanimity creates space around this experience, allowing us to recognize there is pain happening right now, and I am aware of it without being completely defined by it. This subtle shift can dramatically change the pain experience. Buddhist monastics have developed this capacity to remarkable degrees, demonstrating equanimity even during serious illness or injury. While this level of practice takes years to develop, even beginners report significant benefits from basic equanimity training. Many find that after several weeks of regular practice, they can maintain mental balance during pain episodes that previously would have triggered emotional spiraling. One practical technique for developing equanimity with physical sensations involves intentionally exposing yourself to mild discomforts while practicing balanced awareness. For instance, you might hold a somewhat challenging yoga pose, place your hand in cool water, or sit in a slightly uncomfortable position, using these controlled situations as opportunities to practice maintaining mental balance with unpleasant sensations. As your capacity grows, this skill naturally transfers to working with pain you don't choose. The cultivation of equanimity particularly helps with the emotional aspects of chronic pain that often cause as much suffering as the physical sensations themselves. Fear about the future, frustration about limitations, comparison with how things used to be. These mental patterns create substantial psychological suffering. Equanimity practice helps maintain perspective during these emotional experiences, preventing them from completely overtaking awareness. Many pain management programs now incorporate equanimity training. recognizing its effectiveness for helping patients relate differently to unavoidable discomfort. Healthcare professionals report that patients who develop this quality often require lower doses of pain medication and show improved functioning even when pain sensations themselves haven't dramatically changed. This suggests that much of pain's impact on quality of life comes not from the sensations alone, but from how we relate to them. The balanced awareness of equanimity also supports better decision-making about pain management. Without equanimity, we tend to react to pain with either denial and pushing through, potentially causing further injury, or excessive caution and avoidance, leading to deconditioning and increased disability. Equanimity provides the clear seeing necessary to discern when to rest and when to gently challenge limitations, supporting optimal healing and functioning. Buddhist teachings often compare equanimity to a tree with deep roots that remain stable even in strong winds. The winds of physical pain will still blow in our lives, especially as we age or deal with chronic conditions, but with equanimity, we're not completely uprooted by these experiences. We maintain our center regardless of pleasant or unpleasant sensations, finding a freedom that doesn't depend on controlling external circumstances or bodily experiences. For daily practice, many people find it helpful to set specific times to cultivate equanimity, perhaps 10 to 15 minutes in the morning and evening. During these sessions, you might bring awareness to whatever sensations are present in the body, pleasant or unpleasant, practicing the same balanced attention with all experiences. Over time, this dedicated practice naturally begins to extend into daily activities, creating more stability in the face of changing physical sensations. The cultivation of equanimity naturally leads to another transformative Buddhist practice for working with physical pain: non-identification. While equanimity helps us maintain balance with painful sensations, non-identification takes this process a step further by directly addressing how we relate to pain on the level of identity. This practice challenges one of our most deeply ingrained habits, the tendency to immediately identify with pain as a core part of who we are. When pain arises, particularly if it's persistent or severe, we typically respond with thoughts like, "I am in pain," or "my pain is unbearable." We might even begin to structure our identity around the pain, thinking of ourselves as a chronic pain patient, or defining ourselves primarily through our suffering. This identification process happens so automatically that we rarely question it, yet it significantly amplifies suffering beyond the physical sensation itself. The Buddhist practice of non-identification teaches us to recognize that while pain sensations exist in our experience, they don't define who we are at the most fundamental level. There's a profound difference between acknowledging there is pain happening right now and concluding, "I am my pain." This distinction isn't just semantic, it creates a psychological space that can dramatically change how we experience physical discomfort. To understand this principle in practice, think about how you experience different types of sensations. When you feel a pleasant sensation like warmth from the sun, you don't typically think, "I am warmth." You simply recognize there is warmth being experienced. Yet with pain, we tend to immediately collapse the distinction between the sensation and our core identity. Non-identification practice helps restore a more accurate perspective. To develop this skill, begin by noticing the language you use, both in speech and in thought, when pain arises. Do you automatically say, "my pain," or "I am hurting"? These phrases aren't wrong, but they reinforce identification with the sensations. As an experiment, try shifting to more objective language. "There is pain present now," or "pain sensations are being experienced." Notice how this subtle shift in language creates a different relationship with the experience. When practicing non-identification with physical pain, it's important to understand that the goal isn't to disconnect from your body or deny your experience. Rather, it's about recognizing that your awareness is larger than any particular sensation passing through it, just as the sky isn't defined by the clouds that move across it. Your fundamental awareness isn't defined by the pain sensations that temporarily appear within it. Buddhist practitioners often use a simple exercise to develop this understanding. When pain arises, ask yourself, who or what is aware of this pain? This question helps distinguish between the sensation itself and the awareness that knows the sensation. With practice, you begin to identify more with the spacious awareness that can hold all experiences rather than with any particular experience passing through. The practical benefits of non-identification for pain management are substantial. When we stop identifying with pain as a core part of who we are, we reduce the emotional suffering that comes from feeling personally attacked or defined by unpleasant sensations. Pain may still be present, but without the added layer of "this is happening to me personally" or "this pain defines me." The experience becomes more workable. Research in pain psychology supports this approach. Studies show that patients who maintain strong identification with their pain, seeing it as a personal attack or core aspect of identity, typically report higher suffering levels than those who can maintain some psychological distance. Brain imaging studies reveal that the emotional centers of the brain show reduced activation in subjects trained in non-identification techniques, even when sensory areas still register the pain stimulus. Many people find it helpful to practice non-identification during less intense moments before applying it to severe pain episodes. You might begin by working with mild discomfort or even with pleasant or neutral sensations, noticing how all experiences arise and pass in awareness without defining that awareness. This foundational practice builds the mental pathways that make non-identification more accessible during challenging pain experiences. The language patterns we use about pain significantly influence our experience of it. Many pain management programs now incorporate linguistic awareness as a therapeutic tool, helping patients recognize and modify language that reinforces over-identification. For example, rather than saying, "I am a migraine sufferer," one might say, "I experience migraines sometimes." This simple shift acknowledges the reality of the condition without defining one's entire identity through it. One particularly helpful practice is to notice when you use possessive pronouns with pain: my back pain, my arthritis, my fibromyalgia. While these phrases are conventionally normal, they subtly reinforce the sense that these conditions are personal possessions or defining characteristics. Experimenting with alternative phrasing, the back pain, arthritis symptoms, fibromyalgia sensations, can create a healthier psychological relationship with these experiences. Non-identification becomes especially valuable during pain flares or when facing new diagnoses. These situations often trigger powerful identity-forming narratives like, "I'll always be a sick person now," or "pain is my new normal." These thoughts, while understandable, tend to crystallize a limited self-concept that can impede both psychological adaptation and physical healing. The practice of non-identification keeps these identity narratives more fluid and less constraining. Long-term practitioners often report that regular non-identification practice creates a profound shift in their overall relationship with pain, while the sensations themselves may continue. Particularly with chronic conditions, they no longer dominate consciousness or define identity. This psychological freedom often correlates with improved functioning and quality of life, even when pain intensity hasn't dramatically changed. For daily practice, many people find it helpful to set specific times, perhaps 10 minutes morning and evening, to deliberately practice non-identification with whatever bodily sensations are present. During these sessions, you might mentally note sensations as pain happening or discomfort present rather than "my pain" or "I am uncomfortable." This dedicated practice gradually reshapes habitual thought patterns, making non-identification more accessible during challenging moments. It's worth noting that non-identification doesn't mean never using personal pronouns or conventional language about pain. In medical settings, clearly communicating about your pain remains important for proper treatment. Non-identification is an inner psychological practice that gives you more choice about how you relate to pain, not a rigid rule about language. Many practitioners move fluidly between conventional language in some contexts and more spacious, non-identified awareness in others. The benefits of non-identification extend beyond pain management into other areas of life. Practitioners often find they become less identified with difficult emotions, limiting beliefs, and other challenging experiences. This growing capacity to experience life without being completely defined by momentary experiences represents one of the most profound gifts of Buddhist practice for overall well-being. After developing some facility with non-identification while sitting, many practitioners find it beneficial to continue this work while in motion. This brings us to another powerful Buddhist approach, particularly suited for musculoskeletal pain: walking meditation, known as kinhin in Zen traditions, or simply as mindful walking in other Buddhist lineages. This practice offers unique benefits for those dealing with joint pain, muscle stiffness, back problems, and similar conditions. Walking meditation occupies a special place in Buddhist practice, serving as a bridge between formal seated meditation and everyday life activities. For pain management, it offers distinct advantages over seated practice alone. Many types of musculoskeletal pain actually worsen with prolonged immobility and benefit from gentle, mindful movement. Walking meditation provides this movement within a structured, contemplative framework that maintains the mental benefits of meditation. The basic practice involves walking at a slow to moderate pace while maintaining complete awareness of the walking process and bodily sensations. Unlike normal walking, where the mind typically wanders to various thoughts, in walking meditation your attention stays anchored in the direct physical experience of moving. You notice the shifting of weight, the lifting and placing of each foot, the subtle adjustments of balance, and the various sensations throughout the body as you move. For those managing musculoskeletal pain, walking meditation offers several specific benefits. The gentle rhythmic movement stimulates circulation, bringing fresh blood flow to painful areas and helping remove inflammatory compounds that contribute to pain. The alternating pressure and release on joints provides a mild form of mobilization that can reduce stiffness. The varying muscle engagement prevents the increase in pain that often comes from maintaining any single position too long. To practice walking meditation for pain management, begin by finding a suitable location, ideally a quiet, level path where you can walk back and forth for at least 10 to 15 steps in each direction without interruption. If outdoor walking is challenging due to pain or mobility issues, even walking slowly across a room can be effective. Some practitioners with severe limitations even adapt the practice to wheelchair meditation, mindfully noticing the experience of being moved and the changing sensations this creates. Start by standing still for a few moments, establishing awareness of your body in the upright position. Notice your weight distribution, any areas of comfort or discomfort, and the subtle movements involved in maintaining balance. Then, begin walking at a pace that feels manageable for your condition. This might be quite slow, especially when first starting or during pain flares. The traditional pace for Buddhist walking meditation is actually much slower than normal walking, which naturally brings greater awareness to the process. As you walk, maintain continuous awareness of the physical sensations involved. You might focus primarily on the feet and legs, noticing each component of the step cycle: lifting, moving, placing, shifting weight. Or you might maintain broader awareness of the entire body moving through space, noticing how different parts coordinate and how sensations shift with each step. If pain is present, include it in your awareness without making it the exclusive focus. Many practitioners find it beneficial to synchronize breathing with their steps, creating a natural rhythm that helps maintain continuous awareness. You might experiment with different patterns, perhaps inhaling for 2 steps and exhaling for 3, or finding whatever rhythm feels most natural to your pace and condition. This breath coordination helps anchor the mind in present-moment bodily experience and often has a calming effect on the nervous system. For specific musculoskeletal conditions, you can adapt the practice to emphasize awareness of therapeutic movements. Someone with knee pain might pay particular attention to the proper alignment and movement of the knee joint with each step. A person with back pain might focus on maintaining healthy spinal alignment while walking. This targeted awareness can help identify and correct movement patterns that might be contributing to pain. Walking meditation traditionally alternates with periods of standing meditation, where you pause at the end of each walking segment before turning to walk back in the other direction. These standing periods offer valuable opportunities to notice how sensations change when shifting from movement to stillness. For pain management, these transition points provide important information about how your particular condition responds to changes in activity. The length of walking meditation sessions can vary based on your condition and capacity. Even 5 minutes of mindful walking can provide benefits, though many practitioners gradually build up to 20 or 30-minute sessions. Some Buddhist traditions incorporate much longer walking periods, alternating with seated meditation throughout the day. The key is finding a duration that provides therapeutic benefit without exacerbating pain. Unlike more strenuous exercise that might trigger pain flares for those with sensitive conditions, walking meditation typically falls into what pain specialists call the therapeutic window, enough movement to provide benefit without crossing the threshold into injury or significant pain increase. The mindful awareness component helps you stay attuned to your body's signals, making it less likely you'll inadvertently push beyond helpful limits. Many practitioners are surprised to discover how walking meditation reveals habitual movement patterns that contribute to their pain. You might notice that you unconsciously limp, hold one shoulder higher than the other, or tilt your pelvis in a particular way. The slow, mindful nature of the practice brings these patterns into awareness where they can be gently adjusted. This increased movement awareness often translates into improved biomechanics during regular daily activities as well. For those who experience morning stiffness, common in conditions like arthritis or fibromyalgia, walking meditation can be particularly valuable as part of a morning routine. Even 5 to 10 minutes of mindful walking after waking can significantly reduce stiffness and pain, preparing the body for the day's activities. Similarly, a brief walking meditation break during long periods of sitting at work can prevent pain from escalating due to immobility. Walking meditation also offers psychological benefits particularly relevant to pain management. The combination of rhythmic movement and mindful awareness has a naturally regulating effect on the nervous system, often reducing anxiety and improving mood. Since chronic pain frequently co-occurs with anxiety and depression, practices that address both physical and emotional dimensions are especially valuable. The outdoor version of walking meditation adds exposure to nature, which research shows has additional pain-reducing benefits. Studies demonstrate that time in natural environments reduces stress hormones and inflammatory markers associated with pain. Even walking mindfully near trees, water, or open sky can enhance the practice's therapeutic effects compared to indoor walking alone. Many pain management programs now incorporate some form of walking meditation, recognizing its accessible nature and multiple benefits. Unlike seated meditation, which some pain patients find challenging to maintain for extended periods, walking meditation offers a more dynamic alternative that can serve as an entry point to other mindfulness practices. The skills developed during formal walking meditation naturally extend to bringing greater mindfulness to other daily movement activities. While walking meditation focuses on bringing mindful movement to the body, Buddhist traditions also recognize that what we put into our body plays a crucial role in pain management. This brings us to another key aspect of Buddhist pain relief practices: mindful eating and anti-inflammatory nutrition. Buddhist monastics have long understood the connection between diet and physical suffering, developing nutritional approaches that naturally reduce inflammation and support overall body health. Traditional Buddhist diets vary somewhat across different regions and lineages, but they share common principles that modern science now confirms can significantly reduce inflammatory pain. Most Buddhist traditions emphasize plant-based eating, with vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and legumes forming the foundation of the diet. These plant foods are naturally rich in antioxidants and phytonutrients that help combat the inflammatory processes underlying many pain conditions. The typical monastic diet tends to be low in the foods modern research identifies as pro-inflammatory. Buddhist practitioners generally consume minimal amounts of refined sugars, processed vegetable oils, and heavily processed foods, all of which have been linked to increased inflammation markers in the body. Instead, they rely on simple, whole foods prepared with minimal processing. This approach naturally reduces dietary triggers that might exacerbate conditions like arthritis, fibromyalgia, or inflammatory bowel disorders. Beyond the specific foods consumed, Buddhist eating practices emphasize the manner in which we eat. Mindful eating involves bringing full awareness to the entire process of nourishing the body. This begins with carefully considering the source and quality of food, acknowledging the entire chain of events and people involved in bringing the food to your plate. This thoughtful consideration tends to naturally guide practitioners toward fresher, less processed foods that better support body health. The actual practice of mindful eating involves slowing down the eating process and bringing full sensory awareness to each bite. You notice the colors, textures, smells, and flavors of the food. You pay attention to the physical sensations of chewing and swallowing. You observe how your body responds as you eat, feelings of satisfaction, energy changes, or any discomfort that certain foods might trigger. This heightened awareness helps identify food sensitivities that might contribute to inflammatory pain but would otherwise go unnoticed in habitual, distracted eating. Many Buddhist monastics also practice moderate forms of fasting or time-restricted eating, approaches that modern research suggests can have significant anti-inflammatory benefits. The typical monastic schedule might include eating the main meal before noon and then consuming little or nothing until the following morning. Studies show that these periods of digestive rest can reduce inflammatory markers, improve cellular repair processes, and enhance the body's natural pain-regulating systems. For those managing pain conditions, adapting these Buddhist nutritional principles doesn't require becoming a monk or adopting extreme measures. Even modest dietary shifts toward more plant-based, minimally processed foods often yield noticeable benefits within weeks. Many pain patients report that simply eliminating the most inflammatory foods like refined sugars, fried foods, and highly processed items produces significant improvements in pain levels, often reducing symptoms by 20 to 40%. The mindful eating approach is particularly valuable for identifying personal dietary triggers of pain. While general anti-inflammatory guidelines provide a helpful starting point, individual responses to specific foods vary considerably. Through mindful eating, you develop the awareness to notice connections between particular foods and changes in your pain levels. For example, you might observe that nightshade vegetables increase joint pain, or that gluten consumption triggers muscular discomfort. This personalized awareness allows for dietary adjustments tailored to your unique body. Buddhist traditions also emphasize moderation in eating, not overloading the digestive system, which can divert energy needed for healing and create additional stress on the body. Many monastics eat just enough to feel about 70 to 80% full, allowing digestive processes to work efficiently without excess strain. This principle of moderate eating can be especially helpful for pain patients, as digestive distress often accompanies and exacerbates other pain conditions. The connection between gut health and systemic inflammation has become a major focus in modern pain research, confirming what Buddhist practitioners have observed empirically for centuries. The gut microbiome, the community of beneficial bacteria in our digestive system, appears to play a crucial role in regulating inflammatory processes throughout the body. The high-fiber, plant-diverse diet typical in Buddhist traditions naturally supports optimal gut microbiome health, potentially reducing pain through this pathway. For practical implementation, many people find success by gradually incorporating Buddhist-inspired eating principles rather than making dramatic overnight changes. You might begin with one mindfully eaten meal per day, taking time to really notice the sensations and effects of eating. You could experiment with adding more anti-inflammatory foods like turmeric, ginger, berries, or leafy greens, ingredients often found in traditional Buddhist cuisines across Asia. Many practitioners find it helpful to maintain a simple food journal, not focused on calorie counting but rather on noting connections between eating patterns and pain levels. Entries might include what was eaten, the level of mindfulness during the meal, and observations about pain or comfort in the hours afterward. Over weeks and months, patterns often emerge that provide valuable guidance for personal dietary adjustments. The social aspect of eating also receives attention in Buddhist practice. Shared meals in monastery settings are typically eaten in contemplative silence or with mindful conversation, creating a calm environment that supports optimal digestion. This contrasts sharply with the rushed, stress-filled eating environments many people experience daily. Creating more peaceful mealtime circumstances, perhaps eating without screens, taking time to settle before beginning, or expressing gratitude for the food can enhance digestive function and reduce stress that contributes to pain. It's worth noting that Buddhist nutritional approaches generally avoid extreme restrictions or rigid rules, instead emphasizing mindful attention to how foods affect your particular body. This balanced perspective helps prevent the stress and psychological tension that can come with overly strict dietary regimens, which can themselves become sources of suffering. The middle path approach encourages finding what genuinely supports your well-being rather than following external rules perfectly. For those managing severe pain conditions, dietary changes alone rarely provide complete relief. However, combined with other Buddhist practices like meditation, mindful movement, and compassion cultivation, nutritional adjustments often contribute significantly to an integrated pain management approach. Many practitioners report that when these practices work together, their effects compound, creating improvements greater than any single intervention alone. The mindful approach to eating naturally extends into a broader practice of bringing present moment awareness to all daily activities. This continuous mindfulness practice throughout the day represents another powerful Buddhist approach to pain management that complements more formal meditation periods. While seated meditation might occupy 30 minutes of your day, your pain is present during the other 23.5 hours as well. Learning to maintain mindful awareness during routine activities creates a continuous pain management practice that prevents tension from accumulating throughout the day. The principle is straightforward, though the practice takes dedication. Whatever you're doing, be fully present with it rather than operating on automatic pilot. When washing dishes, really feel the water temperature, notice the soap bubbles, experience the movements of your hands. When walking down a hallway, feel each step, the shifting of weight, the sensations of balance. When in conversation, really listen to the other person rather than getting caught in planning your response. This full engagement with ordinary activities keeps your awareness in the present moment rather than caught in pain-amplifying thoughts about the past or future. For pain management specifically, informal mindfulness practice serves several crucial functions. First, it helps catch tension patterns early, before they intensify pain. We often unconsciously tighten muscles around painful areas throughout the day without noticing until significant pain develops. Ongoing body awareness helps you notice these tension patterns as they begin, allowing you to consciously release them before they create additional problems. Continuous mindfulness also prevents the mental rumination that amplifies pain suffering. When our attention is fully engaged with the activity at hand, we're not simultaneously running worrying narratives about our pain. how long it might last, what activities it might prevent, what it might mean for our future. These anxious thought patterns significantly increase pain suffering beyond the physical sensations themselves. Present moment engagement naturally interrupts these thought spirals. The practice also helps maintain better body mechanics throughout daily activities. Many pain conditions are aggravated by how we use our bodies during routine tasks, the way we stand while cooking, how we sit at a desk, or our posture while driving. Bringing mindfulness to these activities allows you to notice and adjust habitual movements and positions that might be contributing to your pain. Over time, these adjustments can substantially reduce mechanical stress on sensitive tissues. Implementing continuous mindfulness begins with identifying mindfulness anchors throughout your day, regular activities that can serve as reminders to return to present moment awareness. These might include transitions between tasks, like getting up from your desk, entering or leaving rooms, or starting your car. Each of these moments becomes a cue to check in with your body, notice your breath, and bring full awareness to the next activity. These frequent check-ins prevent long periods of unconscious tension from developing. Many practitioners find it helpful to use everyday environmental cues as mindfulness reminders. The ring of a phone might signal a moment to take one conscious breath before answering. Waiting at red lights becomes an opportunity to scan your body for tension and release it. Standing in line at a store offers a perfect moment to practice feeling the sensations of your feet on the ground. Over time, these ordinary events transform from annoyances into valuable opportunities for present moment practice. Technology can also support continuous mindfulness. Some practitioners set gentle chimes on their phones to sound randomly throughout the day, serving as reminders to return to present moment awareness. Others place small stickers or symbols on commonly viewed items like computer monitors or refrigerators. Each sighting becomes a cue to take a conscious breath and check in with body sensations. One particularly valuable practice for pain management is bringing mindfulness to transitional movements, the ways we get up from sitting, move from standing to lying down, or change positions. These transitions often trigger pain flares when done unconsciously or hurriedly. Moving with full awareness during these moments not only prevents additional pain but creates opportunities to discover gentler, more supportive ways of changing positions. Mindfulness during computer use deserves special attention, as prolonged screen time represents a major pain trigger for many people. The practice involves regularly checking posture, remembering to blink fully, noticing and releasing tension in the shoulders and neck, and taking brief movement breaks. Some practitioners use the 20-20-20 rule every 20 minutes. Look at something 20 feet away for at least 20 seconds as a structured way to incorporate mindfulness breaks during screen time. For pain that fluctuates throughout the day, as many conditions do, continuous mindfulness helps identify patterns and triggers that might otherwise go unnoticed. You might discover that pain increases after certain activities, in particular environments, or following specific emotional states. This awareness doesn't always eliminate the pain, but it provides valuable information for making skillful choices that prevent unnecessary suffering. The practice of continuous mindfulness also creates opportunities to implement microdoses of other Buddhist pain relief techniques throughout the day. When you notice pain increasing, you might take 30 seconds for conscious breathing, direct brief compassion toward the affected area, or practice a moment of non-identification with the sensation. These brief interventions, made possible by ongoing awareness, can prevent pain from escalating to levels requiring more intensive management. Many practitioners find that mindful engagement with everyday tasks creates periods of pain vacation, intervals when complete absorption in an activity temporarily shifts pain to the background of awareness. Activities requiring manual dexterity and focused attention, like cooking, gardening, or certain crafts, often create these respite periods naturally. Approaching these activities mindfully extends their pain-relieving effects. The quality of continuous mindfulness differs from intense concentration. Rather than rigidly forcing attention, it involves a gentle, persistent returning to present experience whenever you notice the mind has wandered. This lighter touch prevents the practice itself from creating tension. Think of it as maintaining a soft background awareness while engaged in normal activities, rather than an effortful focusing that would be exhausting to sustain. For implementing this practice with chronic pain, most Buddhist teachers recommend starting with short periods of continuous awareness practice rather than attempting day-long mindfulness immediately. You might designate one daily activity, perhaps morning routines, meal preparation, or commuting as your initial mindfulness practice period. As your capacity develops, you can gradually extend mindful awareness to additional daily activities. The ultimate goal is developing what Buddhist traditions call unbroken mindfulness, a continuous present moment awareness that persists throughout waking hours. While this represents an advanced practice that develops over years, even modest increases in daily mindfulness often yield significant benefits for pain management. Many practitioners report that after several months of practice, they notice automatically returning to present moment awareness during pain flares, rather than getting caught in the reactive patterns that previously amplified their suffering. The practice of continuous mindfulness throughout daily activities naturally opens us to perceiving subtler dimensions of our experience, including the powerful effects of sound and vibration on our body and mind. This brings us to another potent Buddhist approach to pain management: the use of mantra recitation and sacred chanting. While perhaps less familiar to Westerners than meditation or mindful movement, the practice of intentionally creating healing sounds represents one of Buddhism's most ancient and direct methods for transforming physical discomfort. Buddhist mantras are specific sound sequences, often in Sanskrit or other ancient languages, that have been used for thousands of years to create particular effects in the body and mind. The word mantra itself comes from two Sanskrit roots: man, meaning mind, and tra, meaning tool or instrument, literally, a tool for the mind. While mantras exist in many traditions, Buddhist mantras are specifically designed to cultivate qualities like compassion, wisdom, and healing energy that can significantly reduce both the physical and psychological components of pain. From a modern scientific perspective, the effectiveness of mantric practice can be understood through several mechanisms. First, the physical act of chanting creates specific vibration patterns that resonate throughout the body's tissues. Different sound frequencies affect various body systems. Certain tones appear to stimulate the vagus nerve, activating the parasympathetic nervous system that regulates pain and promotes healing. Other frequencies have been shown to alter brainwave patterns, inducing states of relaxation or heightened awareness that change how pain signals are processed. The most widely used Buddhist mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, illustrates how these sacred sound formulas work. When chanted aloud, this mantra creates a progression of sounds that resonates through different areas of the body, from the chest and throat with the deeper Om, through the facial structures with Mani, to the higher resonance of Padme in the sinuses and crown, and finally, the hum that sends vibration throughout the body. This sequence creates a kind of sonic massage that can release tension patterns contributing to pain. The rhythmic nature of mantra recitation also affects breathing patterns, naturally extending the exhalation phase, similar to the conscious breathing techniques discussed earlier. This extended exhalation triggers the relaxation response, reducing stress hormones that amplify pain sensitivity. Many practitioners report that even 5 to 10 minutes of mantra chanting can significantly reduce pain intensity, with effects often lasting for several hours afterward. For those new to this practice, beginning with simple, single-syllable sounds can be most accessible. The sound ah, pronounced as a long dot, open vowel, is considered in many Buddhist traditions to be the most fundamental healing sound. Sitting comfortably and simply chanting Ah, with full breath for even 3 to 5 minutes can create noticeable relaxation throughout the body's nervous system. As you make this sound, you can direct your awareness to how the vibration moves through different body regions, particularly noticing its effects in painful areas. More elaborate mantras like Om Mani Padme Hum or Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha can be learned gradually, with attention to both the sound quality and the rhythm. Many practitioners find recorded chants helpful for learning these longer sequences. The Tibetan tradition in particular has preserved extensive knowledge about which specific mantras address different types of suffering, including physical pain. For instance, the Medicine Buddha mantra is specifically associated with healing physical illness and relieving pain. Beyond the vibrational and physiological effects, mantra practice also offers psychological benefits particularly relevant to pain management. The focused repetition of sacred sounds occupies the mind, preventing it from elaborating pain narratives that increase suffering. Many practitioners describe entering a state where the mantra becomes their primary focus, with pain sensations moving to the periphery of awareness rather than dominating consciousness. Buddhist traditions emphasize that mantras can be practiced in 3 ways, each offering unique benefits. Chanting aloud creates the strongest physical vibration and can be most effective for releasing tension and shifting energy patterns in the body. Whispering the mantra creates a more subtle effect that some find penetrates more deeply into their consciousness. Silent repetition, where you mentally recite the mantra without external sound, can be practiced anywhere without drawing attention, making it particularly useful for managing pain in social situations or public places. For daily practice, many people find it beneficial to establish a regular mantra session, perhaps 15 to 20 minutes in the morning or evening, while also using shorter recitations throughout the day whenever pain intensifies. The formal session builds the neural pathways that make the practice more effective, while the brief interventions apply the technique directly when needed. Some practitioners use mala beads, similar to prayer beads, to count mantra repetitions, which adds a tactile dimension that further helps focus the mind away from pain. Research into the effects of mantra practice on chronic pain conditions shows promising results. Studies have found that regular chanting can reduce pain intensity ratings by 20 to 30% in conditions like fibromyalgia and chronic back pain. Even more significantly, the practice appears to reduce the emotional distress associated with pain, improving mood and decreasing anxiety even when some physical discomfort remains. From a practical perspective, mantra practice offers several advantages for pain management. Unlike some meditation techniques that can be difficult to implement during intense pain episodes, mantra recitation provides a concrete focus that many find accessible even when suffering is significant. The practice requires no special equipment, can be done in any position that's comfortable, and can be adapted to different energy levels and pain intensities. For those concerned about the religious dimensions of traditional mantras, it's worth noting that many people practice mantra recitation for its functional benefits without adopting Buddhist beliefs. The sounds themselves appear to have effects regardless of one's conceptual framework about them. Some practitioners with different religious backgrounds choose to work with simple seed syllables like Om or Ah that don't carry specific doctrinal associations, or they adapt the practice to fit within their own spiritual tradition. The ultimate goal of Buddhist mantra practice for pain management isn't to become dependent on the technique, but rather to use it as a tool for transforming your relationship with painful sensations. Over time, many practitioners find they develop an increased capacity to be with discomfort without being overwhelmed by it, whether or not they're actively using mantras in that moment. The practice gradually rewires the nervous system's habitual responses to pain, creating more space and ease even in challenging physical circumstances. While sound vibrations work directly with our physical experience of pain, Buddhist traditions also recognize the powerful role our attention itself plays in suffering. This brings us to another essential practice for pain management, the cultivation of generosity, or dana in Pali. This practice might initially seem unrelated to physical pain. How could giving to others possibly help with your back pain or migraine? Yet Buddhist practitioners have long observed that the practice of generosity creates profound shifts in attention patterns that can significantly reduce pain-related suffering. When experiencing persistent or intense pain, our attention naturally contracts around the unpleasant sensations. This narrowing of focus amplifies suffering by creating a sense that pain is the entirety of our experience. The mind becomes consumed with monitoring the discomfort, analyzing it, worrying about it, and seeking escape from it. This pain-centered attention pattern creates psychological suffering beyond the physical sensations themselves and prevents us from experiencing other aspects of life that might bring meaning or joy. The practice of dana works directly with this attention problem by intentionally redirecting focus outward toward others' needs and well-being. This shift in attention doesn't deny or suppress pain sensations, but it does change their psychological context, often dramatically reducing the suffering they cause. As one chronic pain patient described it, "When I'm focused on helping someone else, my pain doesn't disappear, but it's no longer the only thing in my awareness. It takes up less mental space, which makes it more manageable." From a neurobiological perspective, acts of generosity trigger the brain's reward circuitry, releasing dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, neurotransmitters that naturally reduce pain perception and create feelings of well-being. These chemicals not only modify how pain signals are processed, but also counteract the depression and anxiety that frequently accompany chronic pain conditions. Studies show that regular engagement in altruistic activities can reduce pain intensity ratings by 15 to 30% while significantly improving mood and perceived quality of life. In Buddhist practice, dana takes many forms beyond financial giving. It includes giving your time, attention, skills, knowledge, or simply your presence to benefit others. For those managing pain conditions, this broader understanding is crucial, as it offers accessible ways to practice generosity even when physical or financial resources are limited. The key is finding forms of giving that work within your current capabilities rather than creating additional strain. For practical implementation, many practitioners begin by identifying small, sustainable ways to incorporate generosity into daily life. This might involve checking in on a friend who's going through a difficult time, offering a sincere compliment to a service worker, or sharing knowledge in online support communities. Even brief acts of kindness create the attentional shift that helps break the cycle of pain-focused rumination. Buddhist teachers often recommend developing sensitivity to opportunities for spontaneous generosity throughout the day. This might mean holding a door for someone whose arms are full, offering directions to someone who looks lost, or simply listening fully when someone needs to talk. These seemingly small actions train the mind to notice beyond its own concerns, gradually expanding awareness beyond the narrow focus on pain that increases suffering. For those whose pain limits physical activity, creative forms of dana become particularly valuable. Some practitioners write encouraging notes to others facing challenges. Others make phone calls to check on isolated community members. Some use online platforms to share their experience and wisdom about living with similar conditions, helping others navigate their health challenges. These activities provide the psychological benefits of generosity while working within physical limitations. The practice of dana also helps counteract the social isolation that often accompanies chronic pain. When pain dominates our experience, we tend to withdraw from social connections, which typically worsens both physical and emotional suffering. By engaging in acts of generosity, we maintain meaningful human connections that research shows are crucial for pain resilience. These connections provide emotional support while also reminding us that our identity extends beyond our relationship with pain. Many practitioners find it helpful to deliberately schedule regular generosity practices alongside their other pain management techniques. This might mean volunteering for 1 hour each week at a community organization, spending Sunday mornings making phone calls to check on elderly neighbors, or dedicating Tuesday evenings to mentoring someone in your professional field. This scheduled practice ensures that generosity becomes a consistent part of life, rather than something that happens only when you feel particularly well. For those concerned that focusing on others' needs might lead to neglecting necessary self-care, Buddhist teachers emphasize that true dana practice includes wise discernment about your capacity. The goal isn't self-sacrifice that worsens your condition, but rather finding a sustainable balance where giving to others complements your healing journey. This often means starting with very small acts of generosity and gradually expanding as your capacity increases. The psychological benefits of dana practice often extend beyond the moments of giving themselves. Many practitioners report that regularly engaging in generosity creates a broader shift in perspective about their pain condition. Rather than seeing themselves primarily as people who suffer and need help, they begin to recognize their continuing capacity to contribute meaningfully to others' well-being despite their limitations. This identity shift from pain victim to person who both receives and gives support can profoundly transform the experience of living with chronic pain. Research confirms that this perspective shift has measurable effects on pain processing. Brain imaging studies show that people who regularly practice altruism demonstrate different neural responses to pain stimuli compared to those who do not focus primarily on their own comfort. These differences appear in regions associated with the emotional processing of pain rather than the sensory regions, suggesting that generosity particularly affects how we feel about pain rather than the raw sensations themselves. The dana practice also offers a valuable context for receiving care from others, something many people with chronic pain need but find difficult to accept. By experiencing yourself as both a giver and receiver of care, the shame or burden that sometimes accompanies needing help often diminishes. This creates a healthier relationship with the support systems necessary for managing ongoing pain conditions. For daily implementation, many practitioners find it helpful to set a simple intention each morning to notice opportunities for generosity throughout the day. This might be as simple as silently thinking, "Today, may I notice ways I can contribute to others' well-being." This intention primes the attention system to spot giving opportunities that might otherwise be missed, especially when pain is demanding much of your awareness. The ultimate benefit of dana practice for pain management lies in how it gradually transforms your relationship with attention itself. Rather than attention being constantly pulled toward pain in an involuntary, reactive pattern, you develop greater choice about where and how you focus awareness. This attentional flexibility represents one of the most valuable skills for living well despite ongoing pain, allowing you to engage fully with meaningful aspects of life even when physical discomfort persists. This growing capacity to choose where we direct our attention connects closely with one of Buddhism's most fundamental teachings for understanding suffering, including physical pain. The Four Noble Truths represent the Buddha's essential diagnosis of human suffering and its resolution, while often discussed in philosophical or spiritual terms. These truths offer remarkably practical insights when applied specifically to physical pain management. The contemplation of the Four Noble Truths in relation to pain begins with the first truth, which simply acknowledges that suffering exists. Applied to physical pain, this means honestly recognizing the reality of your pain without minimizing it or exaggerating it. Many people with chronic pain oscillate between denial, "It's not that bad," "I can push through," and catastrophizing, "This pain is unbearable and will never end." Both extremes create additional suffering beyond the physical sensations themselves. The practice involves regularly taking time to acknowledge your current pain experience with clarity and honesty. This might mean sitting quietly for 5 to 10 minutes and mentally noting, "There is pain in my lower back right now," or "My joints are aching today." This straightforward acknowledgement seems simple, but it creates a crucial foundation of clarity that prevents the additional suffering of denial or exaggeration. Accepting the reality of pain doesn't mean resigning yourself to suffering or abandoning appropriate treatments. Rather, it establishes an accurate starting point for working skillfully with your condition. Many pain management specialists note that patients who can clearly acknowledge their pain without emotional overlay typically respond better to treatments and develop more effective coping strategies than those caught in denial or catastrophizing. The second noble truth examines the causes of suffering, which the Buddha identified as craving or clinging. When applied to pain management, this truth helps us recognize how our mental relationship with pain often creates suffering beyond the physical sensations. We crave pain-free states and cling to memories of how our body used to feel. We resist and fight against painful sensations, creating tension that actually amplifies the discomfort. Contemplating this truth involves observing your mental reactions to pain with honesty and compassion. You might notice thoughts like, "This shouldn't be happening to me," or "I can't stand this pain anymore." These reactions are natural, but recognizing them as part of the suffering process gives you the opportunity to relate to them differently. Many practitioners find it helpful to keep a simple journal noting pain levels alongside their mental and emotional reactions, which often reveals patterns of clinging that increase suffering. The third noble truth offers hope by stating that suffering can be reduced or ended by addressing its causes. Applied to pain. This means that while you may not be able to completely eliminate the physical sensations, you can significantly reduce your suffering by changing your relationship with those sensations. This distinction between pain and suffering is crucial. Pain refers to the physical sensations themselves, while suffering encompasses all the mental anguish, resistance, and distress we add to those sensations. Contemplating this truth involves recognizing moments when your relationship with pain shifts in a positive way. Perhaps you notice times when the pain sensation remains but feels less overwhelming. Or you might observe how practices like mindful breathing or compassion meditation temporarily change your experience of discomfort. These observations build confidence that suffering isn't fixed or inevitable, even when some pain persists. The fourth noble truth outlines the path that leads to the reduction of suffering, traditionally described as the Eightfold Path, with elements like right understanding, right intention, and right mindfulness. For pain management, this truth offers a practical framework for daily habits and practices that gradually transform your relationship with physical discomfort. Contemplating this truth involves reflecting on which specific practices most effectively reduce your suffering. Some people find that mindfulness meditation creates the biggest shift, while others benefit most from compassion practices or physical techniques like mindful walking. The key is identifying your personal path of effective approaches and implementing them consistently, gradually building the mental habits that reduce suffering even when pain is present. For daily practice, many people find it helpful to set aside 10 to 15 minutes to contemplate these truths in relation to their current pain experience. You might begin by simply acknowledging whatever pain is present, first truth, then observing your mental reactions and resistance to it, second truth. Next, recall past moments when your suffering decreased even though some sensation remained, third truth. And finally, remind yourself of the specific practices that help you most and set an intention to implement them, fourth truth. This contemplation provides a valuable framework for understanding the complex experience of pain without getting lost in confusion or hopelessness. Many practitioners report that regularly working with these truths helps them maintain perspective during pain flares, preventing the spiral of catastrophic thinking that often makes pain experiences so much worse. Pain management professionals who incorporate this approach note that it helps patients distinguish between aspects of their experience they can control and those they cannot. While you may have limited control over the physical sensations themselves, the Four Noble Truths highlight how much choice you have in how you relate to those sensations. This shift from feeling helpless to recognizing areas of choice often correlates with improved functioning and quality of life, even when pain persists. The systematic nature of this contemplation makes it particularly valuable for analytical people who benefit from clear frameworks. Rather than seeing pain as a chaotic, meaningless experience, the Four Noble Truths offer a coherent understanding that makes suffering more comprehensible and therefore more manageable. Many practitioners report feeling a sense of relief simply from having a clear way to make sense of their pain experience. For those concerned that acknowledging the reality of pain might be depressing, Buddhist teachers emphasize that the Four Noble Truths always work together as a complete system. Yes, we honestly acknowledge suffering, first truth, but we do so precisely because understanding its causes, second truth, reveals the possibility of relief, third truth, and a practical path forward, fourth truth. This balanced approach prevents both denial and hopelessness, creating a middle way for working skillfully with pain. The contemplation of the Four Noble Truths naturally leads us to another essential Buddhist practice for pain management: the cultivation of contentment, santushti, even in challenging circumstances. This practice directly addresses one of the most common psychological patterns that amplifies pain suffering, the habit of constantly comparing our current experience with how we think things should be or how they were in the past. Contentment practice doesn't mean pretending everything is fine when it isn't or abandoning appropriate medical treatments. Rather, it involves developing the capacity to find moments of satisfaction and ease within your current reality, even while taking skillful action toward healing. This distinction is crucial. Contentment in Buddhist practice is an active, engaged quality, not passive resignation. The practice begins with recognizing how discontentment patterns actually amplify pain. When we're constantly focusing on what's wrong with our current experience, comparing it unfavorably with the past or with our expectations, we create a mental environment of resistance and tension. This mental state triggers stress hormones that directly increase inflammation and pain sensitivity while preventing us from noticing whatever aspects of our experience might be neutral or even pleasant. To cultivate contentment with physical pain, start by intentionally broadening your awareness beyond the painful sensations. While pain naturally commands attention, practice deliberately noticing aspects of your experience that are neutral or pleasant. Perhaps your hands feel comfortable even though your back hurts. Maybe the temperature in the room is pleasant. Perhaps your breathing feels easy even though your joints ache. This broader awareness doesn't deny the pain, but places it in a larger context. Many practitioners find it helpful to regularly practice a pleasant event scan alongside their awareness of discomfort. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes to systematically notice neutral or pleasant aspects of your current experience: the comfort of your clothing, warm sunlight on your skin, the taste of a cup of tea, or the sound of a bird singing outside. This practice counteracts the mind's natural negativity bias, which makes unpleasant sensations much more noticeable than neutral or pleasant ones. Another aspect of contentment practice involves finding satisfaction in small accomplishments rather than focusing exclusively on limitations. Many people with pain conditions find themselves constantly frustrated by what they cannot do compared to before their condition developed. Contentment practice involves deliberately acknowledging and appreciating what you can still do, no matter how modest it might seem. This might mean taking genuine satisfaction in being able to prepare a simple meal, have a meaningful conversation with a friend, or accomplish a small work task, rather than focusing on all the activities pain prevents. This shift in attention doesn't deny real limitations but prevents them from defining your entire experience. Many pain patients report that this practice significantly improves their mood and reduces the depression that often accompanies chronic pain. Buddhist teachers often recommend incorporating formal gratitude practice as a way to develop contentment. This might involve taking 5 minutes each evening to mentally note 3 things from your day for which you feel genuine appreciation, no matter how small. Research shows that regular gratitude practice actually changes brain activity patterns in regions involved with pain perception and mood regulation, creating measurable reductions in pain intensity and emotional suffering. For those whose pain conditions have necessitated significant life changes, contentment practice includes working with the grief process in a healthy way. It's normal and appropriate to feel sadness about lost abilities or changed life circumstances. Contentment doesn't mean suppressing this grief, but rather processing it in ways that eventually allow for finding new sources of meaning and satisfaction within your current reality. Many practitioners find it helpful to work with phrases that remind them of this balanced approach. During difficult moments, you might mentally note, "This is hard, and I can find moments of peace even in this challenge," or "I acknowledge this pain, and I can also notice what's still working well in my body." This both-and perspective prevents contentment practice from becoming toxic positivity that denies real difficulties. The cultivation of contentment creates profound changes in how pain is experienced. Research shows that people who score higher on contentment measures typically report lower pain intensity even when objective measures of their condition haven't changed. The psychological space created by contentment appears to directly affect how pain signals are processed, reducing their perceived intensity and emotional impact. From a practical perspective, contentment practice pairs well with physical pain management techniques. For example, you might combine gentle stretching or physical therapy exercises with deliberate attention to the parts of your body that feel good during the movement. Or you might practice finding contentment with modified versions of activities you previously enjoyed, focusing on the satisfaction available in the adapted form rather than comparing it to the original. Many people find that contentment practice becomes most valuable during pain flares or other challenging periods. Having developed the habit of finding small satisfactions even in difficult circumstances, you have resources to draw upon when pain intensifies. This resilience can prevent the downward spiral where increased pain leads to complete demoralization, which then further amplifies suffering. Buddhist teachers emphasize that contentment is a skill developed gradually through consistent practice rather than an immediate state you can force. Begin with modest expectations, perhaps aiming to notice just one or two pleasant or neutral aspects of your experience each day. Over weeks and months, this capacity typically grows, making it increasingly natural to maintain awareness of what's going well alongside acknowledgement of difficulties. For many practitioners, the most profound benefit of contentment practice is how it transforms their overall relationship with their health condition, rather than experiencing life as a constant battle against pain. With success measured only by pain reduction, they develop the capacity to find genuine satisfaction and meaning even while living with some ongoing discomfort. This shift often correlates with significant improvements in quality of life measurements and psychological well-being, creating a foundation for living well despite physical challenges. The cultivation of contentment naturally opens us to working with another powerful dimension of our experience: the mind's ability to create and direct healing imagery. Buddhist traditions have long recognized the profound mind-body connection and developed sophisticated visualization practices specifically designed to transform pain and promote healing. These techniques harness the imagination as a powerful tool for changing how we experience physical discomfort. Buddhist healing visualizations differ from simple positive thinking or generic imagery. They involve specific, detailed mental images that work directly with the body's energy systems as understood in traditional Buddhist medicine. These practices are often coupled with specific breathing patterns and sometimes include sacred syllables or mantras to enhance their effects. While modern science is still exploring exactly how these techniques work, research increasingly confirms their effectiveness for pain management. One of the most accessible Buddhist visualization practices for pain relief involves imagining healing light or energy flowing into painful areas of the body. To practice this technique, begin by sitting or lying in a comfortable position where you can remain relatively still for 10 to 15 minutes. Take several deep, relaxing breaths to settle your mind and body. Then, visualize a source of healing energy, traditionally imagined as radiant light of a particular color, often white, gold, or blue-green. As you inhale, imagine drawing this healing light into your body, perhaps through the crown of your head or directly into the painful area. See this light filling the painful region, surrounding it completely. Visualize the light dissolving tension, reducing inflammation, and promoting healing at the cellular level. With each exhalation, imagine releasing any darkness, tension, or stagnant energy that might be contributing to your pain. The details of your visualization matter. Rather than a vague or abstract image, create as vivid and multisensory an experience as possible. Notice the exact color, temperature, and quality of the healing light. Feel its movement and effects within your body. The more detailed and sensorially rich your visualization, the more powerfully it tends to affect your nervous system and pain perception. Buddhist traditions offer specific visualization colors for different types of pain. For inflammatory conditions with heat and redness, cooling blue or white light is traditionally recommended. For conditions involving stiffness, coldness, or lack of circulation, warming golden or red light might be more beneficial. For nerve pain, which often has an electric or shooting quality, visualizing soothing green light that calms and regulates the nervous system is a traditional approach. Beyond simple light imagery, Tibetan Buddhism in particular has developed elaborate visualization practices for specific pain conditions. One traditional technique involves visualizing the pain as having a particular shape, color, dot, and texture, perhaps seeing back pain as a dark dot, hard knot, or joint pain as red, hot spheres. Once you can clearly visualize the pain this way, imagine it gradually transforming, becoming softer, cooler, lighter in color, and eventually dissolving completely or flowing out of the body. Another powerful Tibetan approach involves visualizing healing deities or Buddhas. In this practice, you imagine a particular enlightened being associated with healing, most commonly the medicine Buddha, depicted as blue in color and holding healing herbs. You visualize this Buddha above your head or before you, radiating healing light that flows into your body, transforming pain and promoting wellness. While this might sound esoteric to those unfamiliar with Buddhist practice, many people find that these archetypal healing images speak to deeper levels of consciousness than abstract visualizations alone. For those who prefer less traditional imagery, Buddhist teachers often recommend developing personalized visualizations based on your own experience of what feels healing. You might imagine cool water flowing through burning pain, gentle warmth melting frozen stiffness, or spaciousness expanding through constricted areas. The key is finding imagery that intuitively feels right for your specific pain condition and resonates with your personal experience. Research into visualization techniques shows several mechanisms by which they reduce pain. Functional MRI studies reveal that vivid healing imagery activates many of the same brain regions involved in actual sensory experiences, essentially giving the brain an alternative sensory input that can compete with pain signals. Visualization also affects autonomic nervous system function, reducing the stress response that amplifies pain and promoting parasympathetic activity that supports healing. Studies specifically examining Buddhist visualization techniques show they can reduce pain intensity ratings by 20 to 40% in various chronic pain conditions. Perhaps even more significantly, these practices often reduce the emotional suffering associated with pain by up to 50%, dramatically improving quality of life even when some physical sensation remains. For daily practice, most teachers recommend starting with shorter visualization sessions, perhaps 5 to 10 minutes once or twice daily, and gradually building to longer periods as your concentration develops. Many practitioners find it helpful to record audio guidance for their visualization practice or use guided recordings from experienced teachers. Having external guidance often helps maintain focus, especially when pain makes concentration challenging. One particularly valuable application of visualization practice is preparing for challenging activities that typically increase pain. For example, before beginning a necessary but potentially painful household task, you might take a few minutes to visualize healing energy flowing into vulnerable body areas, creating a protective field around them. Many practitioners report that this preparatory visualization reduces pain flares that would otherwise follow activity. Similarly, visualization can be especially helpful before medical treatments or therapy sessions that might temporarily increase discomfort. Spending 5 to 10 minutes visualizing a successful, healing outcome from the treatment and imagining your body responding with minimal pain can significantly reduce both anxiety and actual pain levels during the procedure. Research on surgical patients shows that those who practice pre-surgical visualization typically require less pain medication and report better outcomes. The benefits of visualization practice often extend beyond pain management to general healing and well-being. Many practitioners report improved sleep, reduced anxiety, and enhanced immune function with regular practice. These broader health benefits create a positive cycle, as better sleep and reduced stress naturally lead to decreased pain sensitivity and improved healing capacity. Buddhist teachers emphasize that visualization is not about denying physical reality or creating false expectations of miraculous cures. Rather, these practices work with the mind-body connection that science increasingly confirms. Our mental imagery directly affects our physiology through nervous system regulation, immune function, and even gene expression. Visualization gives us a tool to positively influence these systems rather than leaving them solely under the control of automatic stress responses that often worsen pain. The flexibility and privacy of visualization practice make it especially valuable for pain management. You can practice these techniques anywhere without special equipment or obvious external movements. This means you can use visualization while waiting at a doctor's office, during a difficult work meeting, or in any situation where pain arises, but other management techniques might not be practical. As your capacity for healing visualization develops, you might begin to notice spontaneous positive imagery arising naturally during pain episodes. Many long-term practitioners report that after months of regular practice, their minds automatically respond to pain with healing imagery rather than fearful or catastrophic thinking. This represents a profound rewiring of the brain's habitual response to pain signals, creating an automatic response that reduces suffering rather than amplifying it. The visualizations we create powerfully influence our experience, but Buddhism teaches that our most fundamental visualization, our sense of having a solid, separate self, also profoundly affects how we experience pain. This brings us to another transformative practice, cultivating the understanding of non-self, anatta, as it applies specifically to pain management. While this concept might initially sound abstract or philosophical, its practical application offers one of the most liberating approaches to working with physical suffering. The Buddha taught that what we call self is not a solid, unchanging entity, but rather a process, a flowing collection of physical sensations, thoughts, emotions, and perceptions that are constantly changing. We create the sense of a solid self through the habit of identifying with these experiences, claiming them as me or mine. This identification process happens so automatically that we rarely question it, yet it significantly amplifies suffering, especially in relation to pain. When pain arises, we typically react with thoughts like, "I am in pain," or "this is my suffering," as if there were a solid self that owns or is defined by the pain. This identification creates an immediate contraction around the painful sensation, a sense of being personally attacked or diminished by it. The practice of non-self offers a radical alternative, recognizing that while pain sensations exist, there is no solid self who has the pain or is defined by it. To work with non-self understanding for pain management, begin by noticing the language you use, both out loud and in your thoughts, when experiencing discomfort. Do you automatically think, "I am a person with chronic pain," or "my pain is getting worse today"? These phrases aren't wrong in conventional communication, but they reinforce the sense that there's a solid self who possesses or is defined by the pain. As an experiment, try shifting to more spacious language that doesn't assume a solid self at the center of the experience. Instead of, "I am in pain," you might note, "There is pain happening now," or "Pain sensations are present." Instead of, "My back is killing me," perhaps, "Strong sensations are occurring in the back." Notice how this language shift creates a different relationship with the experience. The pain is still acknowledged, but it's no longer defining a solid self. Buddhist teachers often use the metaphor of weather passing through the sky. Just as we wouldn't say, "I am cloudy today," when clouds appear in the sky, we can learn to see pain as a phenomenon passing through awareness rather than something that defines us. The clouds aren't personal. They're just atmospheric conditions arising due to causes and conditions. Similarly, pain sensations arise from various physiological conditions, not as a personal attack on a solid self. This practice doesn't deny the conventional reality that your body is experiencing pain. Rather, it questions the additional layer of suffering created when we construct a solid identity around that pain. Many practitioners find that simply recognizing pain as an impersonal process rather than a personal affliction immediately creates more psychological space around difficult sensations. For practical implementation, you might begin with a daily reflection period of 10 to 15 minutes where you specifically contemplate the changing, process nature of what you call self. Notice how your body sensations are constantly changing, how thoughts arise and pass, how emotions flow from one state to another. Recognizing this continuous change helps dissolve the sense of a solid self that could be permanently damaged or defined by pain. During pain episodes, practice shifting from "I am in pain" to "there is awareness of pain happening now." This subtle but powerful shift identifies more with the spacious awareness that knows all experiences rather than with any particular experience itself. Many practitioners report that this perspective shift immediately reduces the psychological suffering associated with pain, even when the physical sensations themselves remain unchanged. Another practical approach involves noticing how identification with being a pain patient or disabled person affects your experience. While these labels may be necessary in some contexts, like medical settings, they can become limiting identities that define your sense of self more narrowly than necessary. The non-self practice involves recognizing that you can acknowledge these conditions without letting them define your fundamental identity. Research in pain psychology supports the value of this approach. Studies show that patients who maintain strong identification with their pain condition, seeing it as a core aspect of who they are, typically report higher suffering levels than those who can maintain psychological flexibility about their identity. Brain imaging research reveals that practices which reduce self-referential processing actually decrease activity in brain networks associated with pain suffering. Many people find it helpful to notice how pain-related identity statements feel in the body. When you think, "I am a fibromyalgia patient," or "I am disabled by my back," notice the physical sensations that accompany these thoughts. Often there's a contraction, a heaviness, or a sinking feeling. Then experiment with more open statements like, "This body experiences fibromyalgia symptoms," or "back pain is happening now." And notice how these perspectives might feel physically different, often creating more spaciousness and ease. The practice of non-self becomes particularly valuable during major health transitions or after new diagnoses. These are times when limiting identity formations often crystallize, with thoughts like, "I'll always be a sick person now," or "My real life is over." The non-self understanding offers an alternative, recognizing that while certain physical conditions exist, they don't define a permanent, unchangeable self. This perspective keeps identity more fluid and adaptable, preventing the additional suffering of a constrained self-concept. Buddhist teachers emphasize that non-self practice isn't about denying practical realities or responsibilities. You still take your medications, attend medical appointments, and make necessary accommodations for your condition. The difference lies in how you hold these activities internally. not as defining a damaged self, but simply as appropriate responses to current conditions, like putting on a raincoat when it's raining without becoming identified as a rainy person. For daily implementation, many people find benefit in regular reminders about non-self-understanding. You might place small notes with phrases like, "Who is in pain?" or "sensations arising and passing" in locations you'll see during the day. These prompts help interrupt the automatic identification process, creating space to relate differently to painful experiences as they occur. The ultimate benefit of non-self practice for pain management is the profound freedom it creates. When pain is no longer happening to a solid self that can be permanently damaged or diminished by it, much of the fear and psychological suffering surrounding physical discomfort naturally dissolves. Many long-term practitioners report that while pain sensations may continue, they no longer create the same existential threat or identity crisis that previously amplified suffering. Understanding non-self naturally leads to another transformative Buddhist practice for working with pain: the cultivation of desapego, or nekkhamma in Pali. While often translated simply as renunciation, in the context of pain management, this practice involves something more nuanced, learning to loosen our tight grip on how we think things should be, especially regarding our bodies and physical sensations. This letting go of rigid expectations creates remarkable freedom in how we experience pain. When pain arises, we typically respond with resistance based on fixed ideas about how our body should feel. We think, "I shouldn't have this pain," "My body should work properly," or "I should be able to do what I used to do." These should statements create a constant comparison between our current reality and our expectations, generating frustration, resentment, and additional suffering beyond the physical sensations themselves. The practice of nekkhamma involves recognizing these expectation patterns and deliberately loosening their hold on us. This doesn't mean passively accepting preventable suffering or abandoning appropriate medical treatment. Rather, it means releasing the additional mental suffering created by constantly fighting against what's already happening in this moment. To begin working with this approach, try noticing the should thoughts that arise around your pain experience. You might catch yourself thinking, "At my age, I shouldn't have these problems. After all this treatment, I should be better by now." Or, "Someone like me should be able to handle this pain." Simply becoming aware of these expectations is the first step in loosening their grip. Next, practice gently questioning these fixed ideas. Ask yourself, is it actually true that my body should never experience pain? Is it realistic to expect that I should function exactly as I did 20 years ago? Is it helpful to believe my body should respond exactly like someone else's to treatment? These questions help soften rigid expectations that create unnecessary suffering when reality doesn't match them. Buddhist teachers often recommend working with the physical sensations that accompany expectation and resistance. When caught in thoughts about how things should be, you might notice tightness in your chest, clenching in your jaw, or tension in your shoulders. These physical reactions actually amplify pain by creating additional muscle tension and stress hormones. The practice involves deliberately relaxing these areas when you notice them tightening, physically embodying the letting go process. The cultivation of nekkhamma includes releasing attachment to identity-based expectations that become particularly challenging during chronic pain. Many people base their identity on roles like the strong one, the reliable worker, or the active parent. When pain limits functionality in these areas, the threat to identity often creates suffering more intense than the physical sensations themselves. Practicing desapego means gradually loosening identification with these fixed roles, allowing for a more fluid sense of self that can adapt to changing circumstances. This doesn't mean abandoning responsibility or meaningful activities. Rather, it involves holding these aspects of life more lightly, being willing to fulfill your values in modified ways when necessary. A parent with chronic pain might practice letting go of the expectation to be constantly physically active with their children, discovering alternative ways to connect and nurture that work within their current limitations. Many practitioners find it helpful to work with specific phrases that support this letting go process. When caught in expectation and resistance, you might mentally note, "Letting go of how I think this should be," or "releasing the demand that reality be different than it is." These phrases aren't meant to bypass genuine emotions, but to gently redirect the mind when it's stuck in unproductive comparison between reality and expectations. The practice of nekkhamma also involves letting go of excessive focus on past or future regarding pain. Many people with chronic conditions spend considerable mental energy comparing their current state unfavorably with the past. "I used to be able to do so much more," or projecting fearfully into the future. This pain will only get worse. While some reflection on past and future is necessary for appropriate medical care, excessive dwelling in these timeframes prevents us from working skillfully with what's happening now, the only point where we can actually take effective action. For daily practice, you might set aside 10 to 15 minutes specifically for working with letting go. During this time, scan your body and mind for areas of holding, tightness, or resistance related to pain. As you identify these areas, practice deliberately releasing tension on the physical level while mentally noting, letting go, or softening around this. With regular practice, this release response gradually becomes more accessible during challenging pain moments throughout the day. The benefits of developing nekkhamma extend beyond pain management into overall stress reduction and emotional well-being. The skill of recognizing and releasing rigid expectations applies to all areas of life where our attachment to specific outcomes creates suffering, from work challenges to relationship difficulties. Many practitioners report that the freedom they discover through practicing letting go with physical pain naturally extends to greater ease in other life domains. Research supports the effectiveness of letting go practices for pain management. Studies show that patients who score higher on measures of psychological flexibility, the capacity to adapt to changing circumstances rather than rigidly insisting reality match expectations, typically report lower pain intensity ratings and better functional outcomes than those with more rigid coping styles. Brain imaging research demonstrates that practices involving acceptance and letting go actually change how pain signals are processed at the neural level. It's important to understand that nekkhamma doesn't mean never having preferences or taking action toward healing. You can simultaneously let go of rigid expectations about this moment while still working toward improved health. In fact, the mental space created by releasing excessive demands often allows for more creative and effective responses to pain. When not caught in frustration about how things should be, you can see more clearly what helpful options actually exist in your current situation. For those with severe or persistent pain conditions, the practice of letting go becomes particularly valuable during pain flares or progression of symptoms. These challenging times often trigger intense resistance and expectation, creating a second layer of suffering beyond the increased physical sensations. Having developed the capacity to recognize and release these mental reactions, you have a powerful tool for preventing this additional suffering during the most difficult periods. Long-term practitioners report that regular work with nekkhamma gradually transforms their overall relationship with pain, while the sensations themselves might continue, particularly with chronic conditions. The suffering created by constant resistance and frustrated expectations diminishes significantly. Many describe a profound shift from being at war with their pain to finding a way to live peacefully alongside it, not because they've given up on appropriate treatment, but because they've released the additional mental suffering created by demanding reality be different than it is in this moment. This practice of letting go creates the foundation for another powerful Buddhist approach to pain transformation, the Tibetan practice of Tonglen. This remarkable technique turns our usual instincts about pain completely upside down, using breath and visualization to transform how we relate to physical suffering. While most pain management approaches focus on getting rid of pain or distancing ourselves from it, Tonglen takes the opposite approach, intentionally breathing in pain and suffering while breathing out relief and healing. The word Tonglen comes from Tibetan, with Tong meaning giving or sending and Len meaning receiving or taking. The practice involves visualizing that you breathe in suffering, your own and others, and breathe out relief, comfort, and healing. This deliberate reversal of our usual avoidance patterns creates a profound shift in how we relate to pain sensations, often leading to unexpected relief even while engaging directly with difficult experiences. To practice Tonglen for physical pain, begin by finding a comfortable position where you can breathe easily. Take a few moments to settle your body and mind with several natural breaths. Then, as you inhale, visualize breathing in your own physical pain as a dark cloud, thick smoke, or however your pain naturally appears in your imagination. You're deliberately breathing in what you would normally avoid or resist. As you exhale, visualize breathing out relief, healing, and comfort, perhaps as cooling blue light, golden warmth, or whatever image represents relief for you. You might mentally note, breathing in pain, breathing out relief to help focus your attention on this reversal of usual patterns. Continue this rhythm for 5 to 10 minutes, or whatever duration feels manageable. The power of this practice comes partly from how it directly contradicts our habitual response to pain. Normally, we tense against pain, try to push it away, or distract ourselves from it. All reactions that paradoxically tend to amplify suffering through muscle tension and stress hormones. Tonglen practice deliberately moves toward pain with an attitude of openness, interrupting the automatic resistance that creates secondary suffering beyond the physical sensations themselves. After working with your own pain for several minutes, Tonglen practice traditionally expands to include others' suffering as well. You might visualize breathing in the pain of everyone dealing with your specific condition, or even all beings experiencing physical suffering. As you exhale, imagine sending relief and healing to all these beings along with yourself. This expansion beyond personal suffering helps prevent self-preoccupation that often accompanies chronic pain and creates a sense of meaningful connection during difficult experiences. From a psychological perspective, Tonglen works through several mechanisms. First, it directly counters the isolation that frequently accompanies pain. When suffering, we often feel cut off from others, trapped in a private experience no one else understands. By connecting your personal pain with the universal experience of physical suffering, Tonglen creates a sense of common humanity that research shows significantly reduces the emotional components of pain. Second, Tonglen practice activates the care system in the brain, regions associated with compassion and nurturing, which naturally produces chemicals like oxytocin that have pain-relieving properties. By engaging with pain from a compassionate rather than fearful perspective, you shift your nervous system from threat response mode to a more regulated state where pain signals are processed differently. Third, the practice creates psychological flexibility around pain rather than rigid resistance. This flexibility allows pain sensations to flow and change rather than becoming stuck in patterns of tension and fear. Many practitioners report that pain actually feels less solid and fixed during and after Tonglen practice, often shifting or dissolving in unexpected ways despite the counterintuitive approach of breathing it in rather than trying to get rid of it. For daily implementation, many people find it helpful to practice Tonglen formally for 10 to 15 minutes once or twice daily, while also using abbreviated versions during acute pain episodes. A brief version might involve taking just 3 to 5 breaths with the Tonglen visualization when pain intensifies during daily activities. Even this short practice can interrupt habitual resistance patterns and create space around difficult sensations. Tonglen can be particularly valuable during medical treatments or physical therapy sessions that temporarily increase pain, rather than tensing against the discomfort of necessary procedures. You can use these moments as opportunities for Tonglen practice, breathing in the pain while visualizing it being transformed and breathing out relief. Many practitioners report that this approach significantly reduces both the physical and emotional distress of challenging medical situations. The practice also offers a skillful way to work with pain during the night, when many chronic pain conditions often worsen and fewer distractions are available. Instead of lying awake, fighting against pain, or worrying about its effects, Tonglen provides a constructive focus that many find actually improves sleep quality over time. The rhythm of the practice can become gently hypnotic, helping ease the transition into sleep while transforming your relationship with nighttime pain. Research on Tonglen and similar compassion-based practices shows promising results for pain management. Studies indicate these approaches can reduce pain intensity ratings by 20 to 30%, while significantly decreasing the emotional suffering associated with pain. Brain imaging research reveals that compassion-based practices activate different neural networks than either distraction or conventional relaxation techniques, suggesting they work through unique mechanisms that complement other pain management approaches. Many pain management professionals now incorporate elements of Tonglen into their treatment protocols, recognizing its effectiveness particularly for addressing the emotional and psychological dimensions of chronic pain. The practice helps prevent the common cycle where physical pain leads to emotional distress, which then amplifies physical sensations in a worsening spiral. By engaging differently with both the physical and emotional aspects simultaneously, Tonglen helps interrupt this cycle. For those concerned that deliberately breathing in pain might somehow increase suffering, Buddhist teachers emphasize that the practice includes built-in safeguards. The visualization of transforming pain and breathing out relief ensures you're not simply wallowing in difficulty, but actively working with it in a constructive way. Additionally, if the practice ever feels overwhelming, you can always return to simple, mindful breathing until you feel ready to engage with Tonglen again. Long-term practitioners often report that regular Tonglen practice gradually transforms their fundamental relationship with pain and difficulty. Rather than seeing pain as merely a problem to eliminate, they begin to recognize it as an opportunity to develop compassion and connection, not in a romanticized way that denies real suffering, but in a practical way that extracts meaning and purpose from challenging experiences. This shift from seeing pain as merely negative to recognizing its potential as a catalyst for developing compassion represents one of the most profound benefits of this ancient practice. While Tonglen practice helps us transform our relationship with pain through compassion, we also need places of refuge and rest during our healing journey. This brings us to another essential Buddhist practice for pain management, establishing an inner sanctuary through shamatha meditation. Also known as calm abiding or tranquility meditation, shamatha creates a mental space of peace that remains accessible even during intense physical discomfort. Unlike insight-oriented practices that involve actively investigating sensations or cultivating specific qualities, shamatha meditation focuses on developing mental stability, calmness, and concentration. This creates a foundation of inner quiet that serves as a psychological refuge during pain flares or difficult treatments. Many practitioners describe it as creating an eye of the storm, a center of stillness that persists even when physical sensations are turbulent. The basic practice involves training the mind to rest steadily on a single focus, most commonly the sensation of breathing. Unlike mindfulness practices that observe changing sensations with curiosity, shamatha emphasizes gently maintaining attention on one stable object, bringing the mind back whenever it wanders. This repeated return to a simple focus gradually calms the mental agitation that often accompanies and amplifies pain. To begin practicing shamatha for pain management, find a position that your body can maintain comfortably for 10 to 20 minutes. This might be sitting in a chair, lying down, or any position that works with your specific condition. Take a few moments to settle your body, perhaps adjusting your posture slightly to find optimal comfort given current limitations. Choose a simple meditation object. The sensation of breath at the nostrils or belly is traditional, but for pain management, some teachers recommend using a neutral or pleasant body area as your focus. If you're experiencing significant back pain, for instance, you might choose to focus on the sensation of your hands resting in your lap or the feeling of your feet touching the floor, areas that provide a stable, non-painful reference point. Gently rest your attention on this chosen focus, noticing its qualities with simple awareness. When the mind inevitably wanders to thoughts, emotions, or pain sensations, simply notice this wandering without judgment and gently return attention to your meditation object. This basic process of returning again and again, with patience and kindness toward yourself, constitutes the heart of the practice. The initial stages of shamatha often involve recognizing just how active and jumpy our minds typically are. Many beginners are surprised to discover they can barely maintain focus for a few seconds before thoughts pull them away. This recognition isn't failure, but an important first insight. Simply noticing how scattered your attention normally is represents the beginning of developing greater mental stability. With regular practice over weeks and months, most people notice their attention gradually becoming more stable. The periods of resting on the meditation object naturally lengthen, while the periods of distraction shorten. This increased stability directly benefits pain management, as much of pain's intensity comes from the mind jumping reactively from sensation to fearful thought to emotional response in escalating cycles. The capacity to maintain steady attention interrupts these amplification cycles. Buddhist psychology describes 9 progressive stages of mental stability developed through shamatha practice. In the early stages, you're simply beginning to notice distraction and occasionally experiencing brief moments of stability. In middle stages, you can maintain attention for longer periods while quickly recognizing and correcting distractions. In advanced stages, attention rests effortlessly on the meditation object with minimal distraction, creating profound mental tranquility. For pain management purposes, even the early and middle stages of this progression offer significant benefits. Research shows that developing moderate concentration skills can reduce pain intensity ratings by 15 to 25% while substantially decreasing the emotional suffering associated with pain. The mental stability cultivated through regular practice helps prevent the catastrophic thinking and emotional spiraling that often make pain experiences so much worse. From a neurological perspective, shamatha practice appears to enhance activity in brain regions associated with attention control while reducing activity in areas that process the emotional and evaluative aspects of pain. This shift doesn't eliminate pain sensations, but changes how they're experienced, less overwhelming, less identity-threatening, and less capable of completely dominating consciousness. Many practitioners describe the inner sanctuary developed through shamatha as a psychological space they can access even during intense pain episodes. Rather than being completely consumed by pain sensations, they maintain awareness of a quiet center that remains untouched by physical discomfort. This experience doesn't reflect dissociation or denial, but rather an expanded awareness that includes but isn't limited to painful sensations. For practical implementation, most teachers recommend starting with shorter sessions, perhaps 5 to 10 minutes once or twice daily, and gradually extending as your capacity develops. Consistency matters more than duration, especially at first. Daily practice of even brief duration builds the neural pathways that support attention stability more effectively than occasional longer sessions. Many people find it helpful to use guided recordings when beginning shamatha practice, as the external structure helps maintain focus when internal distractions are strong. Numerous free resources are available online, including recordings specifically designed for practicing during pain or illness. As your skills develop, you'll likely find yourself needing less external guidance and able to enter concentrated states more readily. One particularly valuable application of shamatha for pain management is as preparation for sleep. Many chronic pain conditions worsen at night, creating difficult cycles of pain and insomnia that further increase next-day pain sensitivity. Practicing shamatha for 15 to 20 minutes before bed often improves sleep quality by calming the nervous system and creating mental conditions conducive to falling asleep even with some physical discomfort present. The inner sanctuary established through shamatha also serves as an essential foundation for other Buddhist pain management practices. Techniques like visualization, compassion cultivation, or working with impermanence all become more effective when built upon a base of mental stability. Many practitioners find that alternating or combining shamatha with these other approaches creates a comprehensive pain management strategy more powerful than any single technique alone. For those managing severe or persistent pain, shamatha offers something particularly precious: mental rest. Chronic pain is mentally exhausting, constantly demanding attention and processing resources. The deep mental quieting of shamatha practice provides restorative periods where the mind can recuperate from this constant demand. Many practitioners report that even brief periods of true mental rest significantly increase their overall capacity to cope with ongoing pain challenges, while shamatha creates a powerful inner resource. Buddhist traditions also emphasize that we don't need to face pain challenges alone. This brings us to another essential element of Buddhist pain management: the role of community or sangha in supporting healing and resilience. While modern Western approaches to pain often focus exclusively on individual practices and medical treatments, Buddhist traditions have always recognized the crucial importance of supportive community for those facing physical suffering. The word sangha traditionally refers to the community of Buddhist practitioners, but in pain management contexts, it can be understood more broadly as any intentional community that supports your healing journey. This might include formal Buddhist groups, chronic pain support circles, online health communities, or simply friends and family who understand and support your condition and practice. Research consistently confirms what Buddhist traditions have long taught: social support significantly impacts pain experience and management capacity. Studies show that people with strong support networks typically report lower pain intensity, require less pain medication, maintain better physical functioning, and experience less depression and anxiety than those who face similar conditions without adequate support. The effect is so pronounced that some researchers consider social support among the most powerful predictors of pain outcomes. From a physiological perspective, positive social connection directly affects systems that regulate pain. Supportive social interaction triggers the release of oxytocin and endorphins, natural pain-relieving compounds, while reducing stress hormones like cortisol that increase inflammation and pain sensitivity. Brain imaging studies show that the mere presence of a trusted support person during pain experiences can reduce activity in pain-processing regions. Beyond these biological effects, Sangha provides several practical benefits for pain management. First, community offers accountability and motivation for maintaining beneficial practices. It's much easier to sustain regular meditation, mindful movement, or other pain management techniques when you practice alongside others with similar intentions. Many people find they'll maintain practices for the sake of community involvement even during periods when personal motivation wanes. Sangha also provides crucial validation of your pain experience. Many chronic pain conditions involve invisible symptoms that others may doubt or minimize, leading to feelings of invalidation that compound suffering. A knowledgeable community that understands the reality of your condition without requiring constant explanation or justification provides immense psychological relief and creates safety for authentic expression of both struggles and successes. The inspiration of others managing similar challenges represents another valuable aspect of Sangha support. Seeing others practice effectively despite pain conditions similar to or even more severe than your own generates hope and practical insight that can be difficult to maintain in isolation. These role models demonstrate that meaningful life is possible even with ongoing pain, providing living examples of the very transformation you're working toward. Buddhist community practices typically include opportunities for both giving and receiving support, creating balanced relationships rather than dividing people into helpers and those needing help. This reciprocity proves particularly valuable for pain patients, who often experience social interactions becoming unbalanced, always being the one needing assistance rather than the one contributing. In healthy Sangha contexts, everyone both offers and receives support appropriate to their current capacity. For implementing this approach, consider what forms of community might best support your specific situation. Some people benefit most from in-person groups where they can practice meditation or gentle movement together with others managing similar conditions. Others find online communities more accessible, particularly when mobility limitations or geographic isolation make physical gatherings challenging. The key is finding connections that provide genuine support rather than increasing stress or obligation. If Buddhist-specific communities aren't available or don't feel like the right fit, the principles of supportive Sangha can be applied in many contexts. Chronic pain support groups, condition-specific online forums, or even regular coffee meetings with understanding friends can provide many of the same benefits. The essential elements include mutual understanding, shared intention toward healing, and regular connection rather than isolation with your pain experience. Many practitioners find benefit in creating different types of community support for different needs. A formal meditation group might provide practice structure and technique guidance, while a casual gathering of friends with similar health challenges offers space for authentic expression of struggles without needing to explain or justify your condition. Professional communities like pain management programs provide clinical expertise, while peer support groups offer experiential wisdom from those living with similar conditions daily. For those whose pain conditions limit mobility or energy for social interaction, technology offers valuable ways to maintain community connection. Video meetings, phone check-ins, text message groups, or online forums can provide meaningful support without requiring physical presence. Many Buddhist and pain management groups now offer hybrid formats, allowing participation either in person or virtually depending on your current capacity. An often overlooked aspect of Sangha for pain management involves family education and involvement. When family members understand both your condition and your pain management practices, they can provide more effective support rather than inadvertently undermining your efforts through misunderstanding. Many Buddhist centers and pain clinics now offer family education sessions specifically designed to help loved ones learn how to support beneficial practices. The quality of community connection often matters more than quantity. Research indicates that even one or two deeply supportive relationships provide more benefit for pain management than numerous superficial connections. Finding people who truly understand your experience, respect your approach to management, and can be present with your reality without trying to immediately fix or change it creates the foundation for healing community. For those in the early stages of building supportive community, patience and discernment are important. Not every chronic pain group or meditation Sangha will be the right fit for your specific needs and approach. Give yourself permission to explore different communities. Notice how you feel after interactions, and gradually invest more deeply in connections that genuinely support your healing journey while stepping back from those that increase stress or invalidation. The combination of internal practices like shamatha meditation and external support through Sangha community creates a comprehensive approach to pain management that addresses both personal capacity and social context. The inner sanctuary provides a place of refuge available in any circumstance, while supportive community offers the understanding and encouragement needed to maintain beneficial practices over the long term. Together, these approaches embody the Buddha's teaching that the path to reducing suffering includes both internal development and wise relationship with others, a balanced approach as relevant for modern pain management as it was 2,500 years ago.